Spectator point of view wants to see some close finishes, but Peterbot and Pollo, I don't want to see them bounce back because we heard it from Peterbot on the call, just the most unlucky loot of his life. But let's see what Match 9 might have in store. And just like that, we are back. Technically, MDF approaching the halfway point on today. And with that in mind, this is where the pressure is really going to start to surmount onto so many of these players. Queasy and Thomas, they have made it to the top of the leaderboard, but now it's all about maintaining that position.
Yeah, the truth is that it's only going to get more and more difficult from here on out. You start to see the reality of the situation, and that's you actually have a chance now to take it all away. Every moment is going to come with that little bit of hesitation, right? That second opinion inside the back of your mind of whether or not it is the right move. But you have to continue to follow your instincts, follow your gut here. Worthy and Alex right now doing what they've done since yesterday, carrying in the momentum here. They've continued to win the drop. They're on 4 wins of the drop consecutively.
Van a
It seems
pelear,
like
güey.
it's changed after they started getting loot first.
And what's also really turned things around for them is, like you just said, they kind of led off day one with a couple of wins here at Restored Reels. Granted, one of those maybe a little bit more in favor for them to start with. Mustache Malabuka encountering some difficulties of their own along the way, but that being said, Malabuka, Mustache, the ball's in their court to try and bring this one back to life for them, because the reality of the situation is they have not been able to build any points for 2 matches already today.
Yeah, Malabuka, Mustache, clearly amazing players, right? And from the European region that we know and love. But let's jump into EU comebacks. Talking about EU juggernauts right now on the move up against Atlantic, Scroll, and Sky. Scroll and Sky rotated very early in match 8. Come match 9, though, they're looking to stick around and see this fight all the way through to the end, most likely. Kovacs and Huddy have a lot to lose here. They are in 5th place. Sky and Scroll have a lot to gain as they can fight their way up to the top 5 potentially with one good game, given the multiplier.
Sky and Scroll, they're definitely familiar with these early contest fights off spawn, but couldn't help but notice what looked to be either King or Phaser kind of lurking just a ways further north from Rebel's Roost in the distance. So some possibilities of a third party to take place. It all depends on just how noisy this exchange actually manages to get. And in fact, it is King lurking nearby, potentially hoping for a moment to just stroll through, clean up some easy eliminations, get the points online, because we've already seen King and Phaser make a deep run into the end game in match 7, and they're definitely hoping to try and...
Güey, qué hueva caer 2 equipos en ese lugarcito, güey, si casi no hay nada, güey. De ahí hasta que uno gane, ¿verdad? Me imagino que solo sale un equipo vivo o huyen. Pero necesitan kills porque ni uno de los dos llevan buenos puntos. Van podridos. Porque me operaron, güey, de la nalga. Me operaron de la nalga, no pude asistir.
And look, we're familiar with these battles, these early exchanges, but everything that I've noticed so far here today, MDF, is that it's very evident so many of our competitors are just freestyling.
Activa la alerta.
Part of their strategy here today. No one is on the same loop paths, the same rotations that they were making all throughout the course of yesterday, and that has made it incredibly difficult for some of these teams.
Signo de exclamación abierta, Pinzonerox acaba
de 7 mesesotes, Pinzonero. Bot. Gracias, Patito. Clix lleva mucho tiempo cayendo ahí, ¿verdad? Porque sí lo veo de vez en cuando. Ah, pero esta vez tiene alguien ahí, güey. Ah, Clix va en 6º, güey.
just rotating in, expecting them to be there.
And again, Clix and Benno definitely like to play for the vending machine.
Ese King que apareció ahí es el verdadero King, ¿no?
Extra time inside of the Storm.
No, no creo que haya otro aquí en estas finales, güey.
Without having to necessarily worry about it because they'll have
King está podrido. Pero ahí estaba disparando el vale verga, ve, de lejos. Con Phaser.
There's more than just one other team nearby. Phaser and King, they've actually got the cutoff route.
Ahora se van.
Any of these other two duos, whether it's Kovacs and Huddy or Sky and Skrull, chooses to try and depart from Rebel's Roost, they're going to get held on the edge of zone depending on where Phaser and King box up. But not only that, Phaser King, they have to close out on that exchange because they spent so much time not getting early search tags.
Take a look at what's happened here. Aviv already has an elimination.
Güey, ya mataron a uno de esos, güey. La repetición.
They land just a little further north, so sliding in, cleaning up house. Seems like Job and Michael were also here, part of this fight.
Jugaban que en octavo.
Right now, trying to get into the zone here, being held out now by Bugha and Aviv. They're gonna Flowberry Fizz, get a move here shortly.
Un replay esta, mira. Ah, la mierda, no se cubrió el otro, güey. Sí, Bugha sí puede. Igual que Clix. Clix va más arriba que Bugha. Pero Clix está jugando mal, lo vi hace ratito, no se le ve nada, güey. O sea, a comparación de los otros, obviamente. Igual creo que agarrar esa tarjeta que agarró ahorita Pollo, güey, es muy eficiente, güey. Debe ser prioridad, de hecho. Aquí como sumas puntos con kills.
That they can actually transition this into a solid late game run because they've been cut short 2 times here today already. And again, no one looking to make it easy for this team.
Pero es lo que no está haciendo ahorita Peter de Pollo, güey. Por eso no se mueve su puntuación desde ayer, creo. Ya se lo pisaron. Güey, mira, sin cubrirse estaban peleando los dos, güey, qué asco, güey. Pareció una partida mía. Y sin construcción todavía no inventan una, así, pato. O hay algo así, o sea, que en un futuro.
I just have to, I was going to say, give all respects here, of course, to the EU duo and back up.
That just seemed like such a stubborn battle there for Job, though. I mean, he could have looked to try and throw up another wall, maybe try and buy himself a little bit more time. Potentially may have just run out of materials, I'd have to assume. Michael down to wood build, so this duo definitely looking to be a little bit of shambles here. And Flixie, Vico know that they've got an extra 6 points waiting for them. The moment they secure.
Debería, güey, sabe poner más emocionante, güey. O sea, por lo difícil que es, pues. Imagínate rotar así, güey, con puro búnker, güey, puro escudo. Está chico. Ese es tu tío Chico, el que está ahí. Chico, Falcon Chico.
Again, clearly have a bit of a problem at the drop being held out. What a shot. It's almost as if every time we tune in, that Monarch pistol damage is incredible. Is finding its mark. So, what's happening on the other side of the sandy steps, though? The zone landed here. We talked about that changing the dynamic of the game. And surely we're seeing it start to come into play now. As Resigns and Dama have made it up the storm, so is Shari and Giras, the same teams here. But then off in the distance, you got Peterbot with the eyes on the prize here.
Not only that, but Benno as well, keeping himself concealed just enough. Gets the chop off the Resigns' floor. Also gets a few tags in, but still not enough for Benno to want to key him just yet. Instead, he's going to regroup with Clix and continue to hold down the station, but it's just a very difficult time to try and break away when you know that there's 2 other teams duking it out just above you on the hill.
Kovacs almost missed the train there, but he gets it just in time to join Huddy. They're pretty desperate if they're trying to secure loot from here. And that's the results, again, of sitting in the storm, being contested, being held a little too long for a moment there.
Huddy not even going to choose to stick around. They wanted the train. They nearly had it. But the fact is, MDF, they're going to have to leave this one empty-handed. And now, with only a handful of bandages in tow, Huddy and Kovacs could potentially be staring down the barrel of their own downfall. It was a risky play to try and make it for the train. I respect the call, though. The commitment, though, just impossible to find with so many eyes on.
Ah, no mames, no sabía que sí había escudo y ese tipo de cosas.
No teammate, unfortunately, lost here just outside the underworld. So even for Huddy and Kovacs, there's still danger nearby. You never know who's sitting in the storm. Just really shows you that anything can happen. Meanwhile, Bryce and Bolts, this is one of the few times he's actually caught up with them, kind of in the early slash mid game here as things are starting to develop. This time it's up against Body Out and Reason. For floor tick here for Bolt. Bryce playing the other.
Oh my god.
Bad damage though, coming in first.
Padilla has just been on fire today. He is not willing to budge. The moment that he sees an opening,
Ah, me imagino.
immediately
O sea que te obligan a no llevarlo, mejor que no lo pongan.
Now he's able to overtake the high ground because of the damage that he applied onto Bolts just now. But Reason, the moment he starts to crank up, another team in the distance, a solo even, potentially threatening his position. Got a few shots in, but Bryce, Bolts, potentially not fully aware of the damage that Reason just absorbed. And they're gonna choose to actually sit into the low ground and wait for a new opportunity to see if they can engage yet again with the Germans.
Reason and Video playing a dangerous game here though. A lot of these walls are not theirs. They are sitting in all this Bolts and Bryce territory. Now they have successfully infiltrated, if you will, this base here and taken over a good portion of it. Bryce is looking like he might be going for the edit out.
¿Qué mierda hace, güey?
It's definitely getting set up. They recognize what's happening, and for that reason, jump back down.
Está editando mucho, ¿no?
Again, though, this is a lot of time being spent from both sides, and we've already seen a lot of teams here today struggling with some of these surge thresholds and maintaining damage that puts them in a position where they can just be comfortable on their rotates. And the longer these fights draw out, the easier it is for other duos to get ahead of you, to look back, take shots, prevent you from entering a solid position inside of the zone. And Baka and Pars, a little bit more so in control, surge base inside of the heart of Nitrodrome. They've got a couple of white heals collected at the top of their base. Meanwhile, finally getting a little peek into what Cold and Acorn have been up to. Relatively quiet day so far, but we heard it first from Acorn. He's after that trophy.
Day 2 team, still yet to show us it today. Couple of points slipping down here from Acorn and Cold. You know, these things do happen. The adjustments being made by the other opponents have surely affected their strategy. But they will have to continue to adjust here.
Algún día, güey, ya cuando tengo unos 60 años.
Bugan and Beef seem to be on a faster track here today as well.
Y eso porque no tiene nada de vida.
One fight to a potential other. They're just getting situated. Seems like they found their home for now.
Slight gift as well. An extra bottle of Flowberry Fizz now to work with. Beeve and Booga just want to make sure that they establish as much of a foundation as possible. Got a decent position inside of the zone, so don't need to make any risky plays when you're sitting with as much surge damage as they were.
El Surge. Ah, sí, ya está, güey, mira. Y esos tienen menos, güey. 54 menos. Buena. A la madre, qué pichiza, güey. Oh my god. Hay varios de League, ¿va? Como 3 o 4. Montando a Buga este güey. Y Canadá creo que es Dig, ¿no? Sí, obvio, es lo que yo digo. Si estás vergueado por la vida, abajo del, no sé, del 10º lugar, pues ya vete a todo o nada, pues. O sea, si no vas a clasificar, que ya no vas a ganar ni nada, ya vete a los vergazos. Arruínale las partidas a otros.
Getting a little bit too much foot traffic here. Cal still holding his position firm. He doesn't have his duo any longer, but Clicks, Benno, they got the shots that they needed to. They know that they can third party this, no problem. Cold, he's so weakened as is. Cal just below. Two separate solos that Benno and Clicks could look to collect on.
Yeah, they've definitely started to change their focus in purely onto Cold now as they send him running. Now looking to see if they can pick up the spoils of the loot from Acorn, but nothing just yet, as they're kind of lost in this mix, and little do they know there is an Intellect and Sato here, right? So that team hasn't made any noise now, but look at that, they do secure the gear.
Pues de todas maneras tienes que jugarla, pato, o sea, aunque no quieras, pues, y no te queda de otro que pues joder. O sea, me refiero a no intencional, pues. Ah, pisado.
Gets the job done. At the very least, he'll have those two solid eliminations onto Acorn and Cole to work
Dice
with.
señor, güey, así me vería yo, mira.
Likely not safe for a whole lot longer here, because Benno and Clicks, they've got an idea. They heard those shots go off. They're waiting for Cal to surface from these builds. But at the same time,
Se no tiene vida, güey. Si supiera Click que no tiene vida, güey, sería el ataque. Mira, hay un pad ahí, no sabía.
Play smart. Click's gonna have to stop and heal for a second. They're gonna huddle up together. Cal Gamer will live to see another day. Very, very close engagement there.
Me lleva pinche toma, güey.
I always think it's so impressive how every single time we check in with Queasy and Thomas HD today, it just seems like they have so
A la mierda.
for good reason, but somebody who wishes they had a little bit of backup at this point. Kovacs just lost his duo to King. And this exchange has been
Solo en 2 partidas, güey. Es que creo que sí, lo que yo estaba viendo a un español en YouTube. No me acuerdo cómo se llama. Y él decía que los otros se confiaron creyendo que ya iban a ganar, pues. O sea, me refiero a Peter y a Pollo. Y les valió madre, güey. Se fueron, pendejearon, pues. Y con la sorpresa de que no sabían que Thomas lo iba a remontar bien bonito. Ahí está con los huevos hasta arriba, güey. Buscando cómo hacer para superar eso. Y Buga, mira. Mierda, necesita Shures. O un Ensure como viejito. Ya, huevo, vayan a pelear, ya que ver.
Surging here, but Buga damage first. No extra heals. This is all around disastrous, right, for Buga and Aviv right now. And it's only a matter of moments. They will have to do something shortly. Meanwhile, Huddy already out. Kovacs below the surge as well. Will fall here shortly if he can't find a tag now. But Reek finds it instead, and that's your 5th place team.
No tenía material, güey.
Tossed down for once. And it's looking like a repeat performance of yesterday for Huddy and Kovacs.
Esto es como van 130 arriba.
Really be able to bulldoze your way as a solo through ritual of all duos. Peterbot and Pollo, though, this is the furthest we've seen them make it all day today, so they're clearly trying to ramp up for a big performance here in the 9th lobby, but
ah, la madre, hicieron Tier Party, ¿no? ¿Cómo se llama eso?
got a very efficient cutoff, but more importantly still, they need more damage. It's gonna take them some time, but finally Clicks will connect. 77 above though. Damage threshold just continuing to threaten so many of our teams here today.
Okay.
Yeah, if you were hoping to get lucky with Peterbot and Pollo, that already happened.
Pero sobrevivieron, güey. Si es que ahorita no funciona hacer esa madre, güey, porque hay paredes brindadas. O sea, si tienes, ya lo hiciste, pues. Ya valió verga Buga, güey.
but he manages to find damage to keep them in the game, and enough damage on the duo to have them to stop peeking so they can rotate, but it is not looking good for Aviva and Bugha. I don't know what more we can expect of them, but there are a lot of duos there. Toyota and Mapoli, the strongest Asian duo from day number 1. They finished in 10th, so they came in today with a lot to live up to, but have fallen a bit short now up against the likes of Aviv and Bugha here. What can Ping and Walks do?
There's ever a time to prove himself, it's now for Aviv, but he has so little HP to work with. But he has plenty of targets surrounding him, though just too low for the count. Sato's gonna find him. Aviv trying to go
Mierda.
little bit of spoiler.
Oh my god.
And cracking those shields. But the fact of the matter is, Aviv and Bugha
Viste verga, ve.
into the top 10, but they still go down for it.
Yeah, meanwhile, Thomas
Güey, qué fácil hace kills ese verga de Thomas, güey. Creo que está de suerte, güey. Mira, otra. Ah, ya está perro, güey.
Clicks, it is not looking good for him at the moment as he's also in the storm right now. Vino is down. This is just a desperate spot to be in.
Clicks, if anything, was just hoping to play for maybe another elimination at the end of the day, though. He's only got a little bit of sliver of HP to work with, but it's just enough. He might be able to clutch out at least 1 or 2 more placements if he can just stay hidden, fully concealed from the rest of the lobby. Only 3 builds though, MDF. I fear we're looking at the beginning of the
Se verga, ya está muerto, güey, pobrecito, güey.
Definitely looking really close here. 8 HP for Clicks.
No lleva material, no lleva vida. Está un balazo nada más.
The surge is just so tough. But he's staying alive here. Earning little bits of placement, right? All this does start to add up here. Finds Mapoli, very weak. Almost gets an elimination there. Someone else ends up stealing it, but still, he's in the game right now, holding on.
He's at least got that 33 damage.
Ya van a bajar a Peter, güey, apoyo, güey. Este Ovation Vico lleva 442 ya, güey, con su dúo, güey. Bueno, no sé si ha subido. Ahí está Peter, güey.
Into these boxes with the armored walls going up instead of trying to remain concealed, but Pollo, Peterbot, they're gonna.
Buena, lo mató Pollo a Clicks, güey.
Of course, it's Pollo and Peterbot waiting to catch them in the web.
A la mierda, cuánto llegó Thomas, güey. A la verga. Oye, se puso perrísimo, güey. Sí, tenía como 12 de vida, güey, sin nada de material. Sí, güey, Pollo 481 lleva Peter, güey, y Pollo. Lleva una kill nada más, ¿verdad? Córrele, perras. Como Messi, sí, güey. Pecho frío. ¡No! Va a morir tu tío chico. Mira, tienen enfocados a Thomas y a Peter, qué chingón. Ándale, así déjenlo ya. Están peleando entre ellos, ¿verdad?
Very different start situations happening here.
They're at least healthy though, and with that Gatekeeper shotgun primed, it only takes 1 good shot for Thomas HD to find the refresh necessary. They're going to continue to sink in traffic there, playing from the backside of zone. Peterbot, Pollo, meanwhile, staying ahead of the pack.
Thomas is knocked.
Has lost Thomas. He's going to opt for the medkit opportunity instead.
Ya
And we'll
murió
see
Thomas.
remaining.
What?
It's all going to boil down to whether or not he can even make it into the zone. And
Verga, ¿hasta dónde van
seal the
Peter y
number
Pollo
here.
ya, güey?
Pick 'em off.
517, güey. Está buenísimo esta verga, güey.
Baka's very weak. White HP, the armor wall comes through. Not worth, of course, pursuing at this moment. He has to focus in on staying in the front side here. No build.
No mames, que se la va a hacer solo ese verga, güey. Oh my god.
This is huge for Queasy now. Earning points, earning eliminations. He has to stay ahead of Peterbot.
No mames.
Down teammate. Peterbot, so much more to work with. However, it's still so close for everyone else. Another med kit is gonna start coming out for Queasy.
He's just doing
Venga.
everything he can to survive. Peterbot, though, going to pick up Teeny in the process. Crazy as
Oh my god, este verga, güey. El material.
collect the body.
Ya valió verga.
He's scrambling, trying to remain out of sight here.
Ya valió madre.
Behind him, but Peterbot
Se lo chingó Peter.
Exactly what he needed as well. Peterbot trying to take back these points here. Finishing off Trulex now inside of a top 5 situation up on height. It's Dukes though with Peterbot looking to fight back. Do not count him.
Mira, ese Falcon chico sigue vivo, güey.
Solos remaining here. Tito goes down.
Buena.
Is down too. Batman Buga sent back to the lobby. 3 players now here. Peterbot looking at 1v1v1.
Sí, estoy viendo la tabla y todo. La verga, es una verga, Peter, güey.
The final fight here, Dukes.
Tienes que ganar, tienes que ganar.
Scenarios of Peterbot. It's just
Buena, gana altura. Ya se lo pisó.
hit is good, and he needs
Buena, Peter. Oh my god, la cabra, ya. Es el CR7 de Fortnite ese verga, te lo juro, güey. No mames. A su verga. No mames. No mames. No mames, está perro ese verga, güey. Qué remontada, Qué remontada. Ya quedó en primero, ¿no?
Eliminated everyone. I mean, everyone wasn't solo poised on me.
¿Cómo va la tabla? ¿Cuánto hicieron ellos, güey?
Eliminating everyone, it was pretty easy.
I mean, you're right there with the guy. The crowd are behind you too, Pollo. Unbelievable work from your duo partner.
Sí, obviamente, va en primero.
How are you reacting? How are you feeling in that moment?
Puta verga, güey.
Solos, and I just had a feeling he was going to win the game too. I just had a feeling.
You just had the instinct. You just knew it was going to happen. Peterbot as well. Obviously, the first 2 games they didn't go according to plan, but that is the way to go into the break on this final Sunday. How do you guys feel like the first 2 games? Things are really looking good now going into this break. What do you do to regroup during this this halftime break?
Yeah, we're going to talk to our coach and go over the first 2 games and see what went wrong, and yeah, we'll go from there.
And anything you want to say to Queasy and Thomas HD for the first couple of matches as well? I mean, obviously the crowd here are very excited too.
Pero quedan 2 todavía, ¿no? O 3. Sí, esta fue la novena, creo. Quedan 10, 11, 12, 3, güey.
Flip-flopping all the way here, but there's a difference in points now. You guys are back on top.
Thank God. God did.
Okay, and Pollo, going into this last part now, you two, how are you feeling? Are you confident that that is definitely within your grasp? 3 games left to go.
Yeah, I think
No entiendes nada, te traduzco. ¿Qué se siente ser una verga en Fortnite? Dice, yo soy una verga, me llamo Pollo, pero Peter es mejor que yo.
This is one serious Global Championships final. 3 games left to play today. We can't wait to see what happens next. Zeke, what do you guys think? This is blowing my mind.
Son una verga.
My hands are up. I don't know what's happening anymore. I cannot even believe this. First off, how did this game end as a solos? This is a duos competition. Solos running around, and just the fact that Peterbot pulls off one of the most insane solo clutches, right? I mean, Pollo.
¿Cómo murió ese verga? No lo pasaron, va.
Yeah, and then Peterbot
Ay, se chingaron a Clix, pobrecito.
rest of the lobby. And you can see it in his load up right there. And he called it out, the gatekeeper with that drum mag. So no longer does he just have 3 shots. Oh, is there 5 solos? Oh, perfect. That's exactly what I
Güey, ¿qué harán con tanto dinero, güey?
I am going to take down everyone. And it was such a good run from them on the low ground.
$2 millones, ¿no?
A little bit of a rough start with these first 2 games of the day. They did not let that knock them down. And now they're knocking everyone else out.
I mean,
mira cómo se jodieron a Pollo.
To win a global championships, you need massive solo clutches like this. I mean, these final moments right here, every single elimination, every single refresh he was able to get was just compounding. Look at all these builds that he was able to get. Double elimination right there was absolutely crazy. And I noticed when I looked at the Jukes POV, Jukes had no materials, so Peterbot had the advantage. This elimination on low ground was crazy as well. Peterbot had so many more materials than him, so he took height perfectly. And I thought for a moment there was a moment last Globals where Jukes had an insane solo clutch from the low ground. I thought, are we going to see a similar sort of thing again? But then, of course, it's Peterbot. He was only going to win that.
You know, they like to say that sometimes people like to put people into a false sense of security. Oh, Peterbot and Pollo, day 2, they're washed. Everyone else, this is when they put them into that sense of maybe we have a chance. Oh no, Peterbot and Pollo, they're still there to fight. They're still there to show that they are the best in the world and at the top of the leaderboard.
608, güey.
Reclaimed that spot for just a moment. Thomas HD Queasy had it. And for a moment, it was like, okay,
Bajo
the
clicks.
reign's over. Could this be the moment? And then Peterbot and Pollo answered that question. No! Nice try, fools! I cannot believe what we just witnessed. And 10 eliminations. Remember, the victory is worth 100 points by itself.
Yes.
You slap 60 points.
Compro muchos departamentos y los rento a la verga.
Here we are!
56 eliminations. Look at that column 1 in from the right. 56, but nobody else comes even close to that. The second place team, Thomas and Queasy, 29 eliminations.
Sí, obvio, depende ahorita de qué tan cagapalo esté la gente, güey. ¿Iba a haber un descanso o qué? ¿Por qué no hay nadie?
They're really going to be able to do that on this global stage in front of the best teams in the world, in front of this amazing audience in person. Yes is the answer. They can do it. They can still do it. And I mean, that's a great response after the first 2 games. Wasn't the best for them, but that's a response of winners right there.
However, there are still 3 more.
¿Qué mierda? ¿Por qué no están todos ahí en su lugar?
We've seen the leaderboard in first place change between 2 teams, and we do see that there are other duos on that leaderboard that are within reach. And we now know that Peterbot and Pollo are not invulnerable. We did see them go down in
¿Tú sabes inglés?
and 8. There is a possibility that happens again. However,
Te apoyo el gordito.
they're going to go back to their coach. They're going to go review specifically what went wrong in those games,
No sé
and
tu
hopefully
mamá.
they never replicate it again.
Ya la
That's
quitó.
right. And you saw them there on screen. They're right at it, right? They are really quickly trying to identify those issues. On the flip side, Thomas HD and Queasy, right? How they must be feeling. For a moment, it was ours, and now the rug pulled out from underneath them. We have a listen-in from this last game. Take a look.
Stay down there! On me, I'm probably dead. On me. I'm dead. I'm dying right here, and this 2 splashes. Nice. It's hella solos, bro. Nice, bro. You have 5 metal walls. Body. Also, 5 solos. Nice. Get 2 bodies there. 2 more solos.
Y si vienes de abajo, ¿por qué no tomas agua abajo?
I think you go up. Nice, bro. Except 20 goals, but you can fizz. Nice. The best player in the world, baby! Oh my god. Come on!
Como hablan.
You're actually crazy. Holy, bro, let's go!
Yeah, so remember for like a moment, like a lot of yesterday, we had that like super cocky Peterbot, and then like for the first 2 games he was there. He's back, he never left again. He was just like, it was like the dangling the carrot, like, yeah, everything's cool, everything's fine. These guys are beatable, just kidding. That's not the case.
I do want to mention, though, yes, Peterbot and Pollo did absolutely well there, but Queasy, a solo on the low ground with no mats, able to get back-to-back eliminations as well. Just making sure that...
No mames, llevan 56 eliminaciones en total esos vatos, güey. Y el otro de Thomas, entonces para andar rapeando llegando hasta el late game. Es que llegó hasta segundo lugar, güey, porque lleva menos de la mitad de kills.
Thomas HD went down right there. Really unfortunate situation. Queasy was actually able to pick up Thomas HD HD's materials once he was finally eliminated in the storm. So that just kept him going and allowed him to make the solo clutch. Some really, really nice eliminations.
Oh.
This one in particular, unfortunate that he couldn't get those builds, because I think if he could have got those builds, he would have had a little bit of a better placement in the end. But solo clutching 6 is so, so good. And particularly for Queasy, who I feel like people don't often give him the credit as a really great mechanical player. It's all about Thomas HD. He's the fragger, he's the best player in this duo, but no, Queasy has what it takes as well. He's proved it previously, he's proved it today. He is one that can perform as a solo.
And think just off that performance, right? That was enough to kind of, because they.
Yo creo que está en un descanso comiendo algo, me imagino, ¿no?
And just say, like, look, you're gonna pull ahead, but I'm gonna make sure that lead is not as big as it could have been. Props to.
Pero yo no tengo contratado Twitch. Por si salen comerciales no son míos, son de Epic, que diga de Fortnite.
So much for that high ground though.
Espérame, está bien.
Still second place placement and eliminations, that's huge.
Yeah, and Dukes and Finks had a pretty good day 1 as well. So to keep that rolling into day number 2, to control high ground there as well was very smart. Cammy and Seti for a moment there had high ground, but then they saw that they had low mats. That's when Dukes and Sphinx went up. And Cammy and Seti very smartly dropping down, not even trying to fight for it, because when you have no mats, what's the point there? Dukes and Sphinx capitalizing on that awareness, did a great job in that game.
Yeah, they did. And as you mentioned, Zeke, it's always tough to sort of keep those materials going when you're a high ground team like that. We saw at the end, Dukes didn't quite have the materials to try and win that final 1v1. I expect to see this team making more end games, though. It's nice to see them getting that second place, as you mentioned, a really solid day for them yesterday. So building on that, not crumbling under the pressure of having that good performance in day 1. I'm excited to see what they can do.
That's right. Ladies and gentlemen, Fortnite fam, we are now at the halfway point of the competition. Only 3 games left to go. Our players have left the stage. Now they'll have a moment here of respite. They'll be able to eat, talk to their coaches. So when we return from this next break, we'll have more for you here from the FNCS.
¿Ya conoces Ovatol? Ovatol es el aliado de miles de mujeres. Con inositol 100% puro, sin agregados innecesarios y sin saborizantes artificiales, Ovatol te brinda la más alta biodisponibilidad de mio y de quiro inositol en cada toma con un radio 40-1. El radio de inositol recomendado para mujeres. Meticulosamente diseñado por nutricionistas y farmacéuticos pensando en el cuidado de la mujer. Simplemente agrega un scoop en agua fresca o a temperatura ambiente y disfruta. Su sabor es casi imperceptible. Ovatol es garantía de confianza en cada toma. ¿Aún no lo has probado? Cuéntanos por qué Ovatol te enamora.
Si cocinas para uno o para todos. Si solo tienes unos minutos o te tomas tu tiempo. Si cuidas cada detalle o eres práctico. Si eres cuidadoso o no tanto. Más duraderos, nada se le pega y fácil de lavar. Piensa en Cinza, 95 años, cocinando contigo.
Déjate sorprender por lo mejor de la naturaleza en cada gota. Mayan Sweet es extracto de stevia y fruto del monje, cuidadosamente producido en las tierras fértiles de México. Dulzura natural sin calorías. Descubre el sabor auténtico de la stevia y el fruto del monje, un regalo de la tierra para tu bienestar. Pruébalo ahora y siente la diferencia en cada deliciosa gota. Disponible en Amazon Prime.
Fortnite's fun. We all know that. But how do we make it even funner? How about by playing it on one of the biggest screens in the world?
Today we're going big. Big shout out to NASCAR for bringing us out here to the Texas Motor Speedway just outside of Fort Worth, where we've invited some Fortnite players to play on the NASCAR Daytona rocket racing map. It's going to be a great time.
I think the biggest monitor I played on is like 30 inches maybe, so it's a huge upgrade for sure.
Just to show y'all how big that monitor actually is, here, zoom in, see if you can see Veno. I think you need probably 1 million Venos to make that whole entire monitor. Yeah, he's waving right there.
It would be sick to do a tournament here.
100%.
A tournament on the screen, bro? That'd be fun. I'd love to do that.
Come on in.
Big lev on.
Have you ever played on a screen this big?
No.
Not this big.
Who wants to go first?
I'll go first.
Damn. Oh, okay. He's taking steps.
He's
confident.
Take away.
I don't think you're gonna win though.
We're gonna jump in. We're gonna see who can get the fastest times today. We're gonna do some time trials, right? And it's live. Let's go.
You already
This guy's already
turns, man.
You're 6 laps?
He's played this before. I feel like he's
Where's
played.
the timer?
Maybe he's not played it before. The middle mouse button to activate your boost. Go on it. Go on it.
So you sit in this in 20 seconds. Get a go. It's a rob. Are you next? 11. Is it 11? 11's gonna get the worst score, bro.
Really?
Don't get nervous, Clicks.
And it's live. Let's go. 320 to beat. No pressure at all. But if you don't beat the score, it will be pretty embarrassing for you.
Can you see where the kilometers is? Like with the numbers?
Yeah, I see.
Oh my God. We bugged the map.
What I say? You had to be 2 seconds.
You've lost a lot of seconds there, bro.
Let's see.
Clicks is rocking in with a
3:11. That's what I said. That's what I said.
Pato.
That's what I said. It was much.
That's not great.
By 9 seconds.
So Cooper's stepping up next. Bit of a slow start there, lad.
Yeah.
Wait, how am I slow though?
I think you'll hit sub 3 minutes at the moment, yeah. You got Loki a good. You got like
strong finish.
253.
Oh no. That's a good time. That's a good time. That's a good time. Canada, start your engine, lads. Let's go. Strong start.
Better than Cooper.
Hey, Canada.
Yeah, wrap this up.
No,
there's
a
bug on me. No, I'm getting green. It's
on me, dude. No, this bug's on me. I'm getting green, bro.
Oh, what's it gonna be? What's it gonna be? Ooh, 3 minutes on
7
the clock.
8 seconds.
Hey, at least I beat. Do you think he beats the timer?
I beat these two. Who the worst is?
Who's the worst?
Oh yeah, your turn. Let me step up, bro.
Now,
Crazy.
now it's time for the tutorial.
No, it's an overcut. Oh, no. Tutorial?
Oh, no, man. He's drifting. He's techie with it.
This is a guarantee.
I hit it.
Oh, no.
Come on, give me a good time, please. Under 250.
Under
Under 250.
3. Oh my God, you got slower than me. You got slower than me.
Commiserations. 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 Nice try.
Nice try, bro. You guys got next.
Let's go.
To the
winners.
To the winners. Well done. Second place.
Yes, sir.
First place. Third place right here as well. And that was some rocket racing on the big horse. 218 feet wide, 97 feet tall. The biggest screen you guys will probably ever play on. What'd you make of that?
That was crazy.
Some fun?
It was fun. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. Especially playing the racing game.
Yeah.
That hit.
It was good. Hey, shout out to Rocket Racing. We're gonna see you guys on the next one. Peace out.
Up here at the Creator Lounge, the influencers are plentiful, and let me tell you something, so were the vibes after that game. I mean, Peter and Pollo putting themselves back into the conversation, but now we're at the halfway point, and I just had to revisit a conversation from yesterday with two of our good friends, Blake and Somerset. Hey guys, how we feeling after the 3 games from today?
I'm feeling good, man. Like, we got a tournament on our hands. Peterbot had a bad first 2 games. Thomas HD, Queasy popped off. We thought like maybe Peterbot was gonna choke a little bit, but then he comes out with a crazy solo clutch. It was all solos at the end, a crazy game.
All I'm gonna say is Blake has been in support from Peterbot since the beginning. I may or may not. But now I'm definitely absolutely crazy the last 2 days.
Awesome stuff. There's been a lot of surprise.
11.
What? Hacer la construcción en solitario el lunes.
Adjustments, but we just keep doing what we're doing, and we hope it's enough.
I want to hear about one for a second here. You guys as a partnership, what is it like playing alongside Thomas HD? I guess a lot of people at home right now wishing they could be next to you guys competing with you. What's this guy like playing next to?
It's amazing, and it's pretty easy to play. You know, that's about it.
Same question for you. I mean, this guy, he's done it all as well. Queasy is the man. Same thing. What is it like this season playing next to Queasy?
I mean, it's great playing with Queasy. Like, I don't think there's anyone else that I want to play like a LAN like this with than Queasy. I think he's like the best IGL by far.
Okay, we're going to see exactly what happens. Will they manage to go all the way and lift that trophy on behalf of the EU? I hope so, I hope so. Let's head our way back over to the rest of the gang and see what they have to say.
On behalf of NA, I also hope so. That's just my opinion. Welcome back here from the FNCS. We just are sitting here at the halfway point. Man, that last game was so crazy once again. Obviously, we would love to see Thomas HD and Queasy win, but also that story, Peterbot and Pollo, the back and forth. It's a really great story.
It really is a great storyline, and I hope that we get to see both of these players make it to the end game
Sí, falta un madrero,
as
güey.
well. However, like I said
12
before,
minutos.
there is still an opportunity for other teams below them to climb up the leaderboard, and to not forget that this isn't just a fight for first place. Everyone is still trying to climb up this leaderboard, make sure that they get into those placements where the 6-digit figures are.
Yeah, I mean, you heard it there from them directly in the interview. We don't really have time to change things right now. They've had a very, very good day overall. Of course, they came out on top in game number 1. 2 very solid games here as well, going into the halfway point. It's just the fact that Peterbot
¿Qué es BRS, Pato?
incredible game number 3, that they really are just taking everyone by storm right now, still within
Victorias.
so as you mentioned earlier, Ronzi.
Yeah, and just look at this leaderboard here, right? Like first place, right, 608, 569. So we got first and second kind of fighting it out. Third and fourth, right, in that 400, almost 500 range, they're fighting out.
Victories.
Fifth, all the way down to 9th. And you can even argue Bolt and Bryce are even trying to fight up into that competition. Guys, this is still anyone's game. We only have 3 games left to go. During this halftime, what do you guys think is kind of going through the players' minds? What are the things they're looking to change? Because the moment you fall, if you start this game and you fall outside of placements or eliminations, now you're only going to have 2 games left, and then vice versa, 1 game left. There's only so many opportunities left, Kelly.
You know, it's interesting because we've
Oye, que muestren la tabla completa, güey.
Thomas HD, and there's a bit of a
pues se lo puedo checar
juxtaposition
yo,
for what
¿verdad?
they're doing during this halftime show. Where Peter Von Pollo, they're going back to the review, they're talking to their coaches. Whereas Queasy and Thomas HD, it seems more that they are kind of calming themselves. They don't want to look too into it. They don't want to kind of freak themselves out because maybe if they doubt themselves now, it's only going to get worse from them. So I think it really depends on the player, on the duo, how they're going to be able to kind of handle this situation going into the final 3 games.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that is their situation of spawn as well. Of course, Peter Bot and Pollo, they have the best medallion in the game. They have the best assault rifle in the game as well. Their plan right now, their main concern is getting landed on. What could happen in these final 3 games?
A la
Could
verga,
there
King,
be a
güey.
team in maybe 50th place, down there 40th place, that could think, you know what, we've got 3 games to make something happen, 1.5x points, why don't we just go for the best loot, see what we can make of it? If Peter Bot and Pollo can do it, why can't we? I don't think Queasy and Thomas have that same concern. Yes, they're not in first place, but their drop spot isn't necessarily the most overpowered drop spot. It hasn't got those medallions, it hasn't got those mythics. So I think that's where the difference in their strategy and their approach to this halftime break has been, because I think Peter Bot and Pollo are in that danger zone
Está
right
muy
now.
por los suelos, tu fe.
I mean, we heard at the start of the day, I believe it
Otro
was
dick.
Acorn and Cole, that they said, listen, if we're up there in 2nd place and it's Peter Von Pollo, we're going to be
Buga.
landing on them. I don't know if they're going to be doing that now.
Batman
but still,
Buga,
it does
Dick
showcase
Buga.
that
Este es el bueno.
mentality is in the mind of all these competitors, that they are willing to do something crazy to change things up. And of course, that brings us back to the reminiscent days of Invitational 2022, where it was Queasy and
Güey, aquí en al
dropping
lado.
onto Cammy and Seti and making one of the best plays that we have ever seen in the FNCS ever.
Just
Ah, es que van
imagine
llegando,
for a moment, let me
güey.
just paint you a mental picture. And I'm not saying this come true, but I did write it in the script. Peter Bot Pollo, suddenly.
Patrocíname una PC como esas. O sí, güey. Una o dos.
It out right here, and then all the rest of the lobby is just like, we're also going to be part of this.
Dirían algunos, ni yo la tengo.
And just kidding. I hope that doesn't happen. But that's a very interesting point.
Ah, no mames.
Invitational, we would have never. And I don't think
Güey, no
anyone
sabía
ever
que eran
imagined
hermanos.
that was what the play that would have been made. And so here with 3 games
¿Por qué
left,
mierda no son
thinking
equipo?
as a duo, like, bro, we can make one of those plays. It's high risk, high reward. But at the end of the day, like, it could win us a global championship. It could send us into the top 10 and receive life-changing amount of money. I mean, there's so much on the line here.
¿Sabes sentir feo, güey? Llegar a la World Cup y valer verga, ¿va, güey? O sea, me refiero a esos que van a lo último, güey. Que van abajo de 20, por ejemplo, 15, güey. Sabiendo que son buenos, pues, que llegaron ahí porque son buenos, obviamente. Pero enfrentarte con gente que es mucho mejor que tú, güey, pero tú sin saberlo, pues.
I think it is a specific situation, but I also think it's a specific situation that could actually happen, right? With how well those top 2 teams are playing, it could happen, Zeke.
That's right. Our
Sí, obviamente, llegar es un logro y nadie te lo quita.
Preparing themselves mentally, but this is not the only competition that has been going on this weekend. There's another one happening on the Fortnite Battle Stage.
Son $300,000, güey, por llegar nada más. Bueno, escuché hace ratito.
$300,000 en pesos.
¿Ah?
O sea, esa cantidad en pesos.
$300,000.
En pesos.
Alexa, ¿cuánto es $300,000 en pesos mexicanos?
So here's how it's going to work. We're going to have each individual on a band. They're all going to compete amongst themselves. The top players.
Un madrero de dinero, 5,990,000. O sea, casi 6 millones de pesos mexicanos son $300,000.
Battle Stage Dallas. At the end of Battle Stage Dallas, we will crown the best Fortnite Festival Battle Stage champion.
So this is arguably like the largest prize pool in like guitar game history, and the fact that Fortnite Festival Battle Stage Champions is happening in all is like it's incredible.
This is the most calm, the most zen I've ever felt going into a tournament. Won 3 national championships in the old days. Looking forward to maybe adding another.
All right, guys, welcome to round 1 of Fortnite Battle Stage Dallas. May the best rocker win.
¿Y esos apestosos quiénes son?
Tell you right now, I'm gonna win the whole thing. somehow I pulled it out at the end by just a couple thousand points. I'm barely shaking now still. I'm still shaking. I'm sweaty. That was very nerve-wracking, but I'm glad that we were able to get it done.
All right, guys, welcome to round 3 of Fortnite Festival Battle Stage Dallas.
Nerves being up here is just insane. Like, you are not prepared until you get up here. Battle stage is completely different from main stage. Like, it's truly
Qué marihuanada es eso.
competition at its finest.
This is my first time playing.
Ah, que un comercial. Está más interesante que la otra mierda.
Game.
I'm so happy it's close. I'm so happy it's so close. As a neutral, if you're watching and you don't have a team that you're following, I think it's so good that things are so neck and neck going into these last 3 games. And of course, with that 1.5x points multiplier, anything can change so quickly. So even the likes of Vico and Flixie, if Peterbot and Pollo, Thomas and Queasy don't have a very good end to the day, Vico and Flixie could be your FNCS global champions for this year. So it's still all to play for, and it's gonna be electric, Zeke. This is the business end of the competition, we call it.
I know, we just cannot discredit this Victory Royale. 100 points.
Yeah.
I mean, right? A single duo could find themselves a Victory Royale, and then everything changes. This leaderboard shakes up. We could see Peterbot and Pollo have a slip up like they've had, right? The same thing for Thomas HG. Any of these teams could. Now, we don't want that, but it could happen with 3 games remaining.
Yeah, and I love the way that these end games have been going. We've had wins from the high ground, we've had wins from the low ground, we've had solo competitions, we've had 2v2v2s. It has just been an all-encompassing experience of what Fortnite has to offer.
Yeah, we've had a little bit of everything, haven't we? Solo clutches went crazy. Of course, there's that one game today where we had like 5 or 6 solos just in the game alone. So yeah, we've kind of had a little taste of everything. Now this is where things get really serious. I expect to see a little bit of change of strategy from some of our teams that maybe aren't doing so great. Some of the teams that more nerves from, because this is really where it's make or break.
I think this is also where we're going to see a lot of issues with Storm Surge. A lot of
Clix
players
es daltónico.
they can possibly be because they don't want to get eliminated. Regardless of going for those eliminations, they want those placement points. So I think that it's going to be a bit of a struggle for a lot of the teams that don't have kind of those off-spawn fights or other duos near them. They're going to have to make some big
Por los lentes pregunté, pues.
tags, or at least have some strategy in their back pocket.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just curious to start diving into what has changed, right? These players have had this time to kind of just wash away. Those first 9 games don't matter. We just have to show up for the next 3. These next 3 games will define our legacy, the legacy we leave here at the FNCS Global.
Es que tiene lentes amarillos. Normalmente cuando la gente usa lentes amarillos con, bueno, mica amarilla es porque son daltónicos.
Thank you guys so much. And yes, MDF, we have officially crossed the halfway point. Match number 10 is in sight. And what's even more crazy to even consider currently was that performance out of Peterbot to close things off, because so many of these teams, they just had to sit and ice out for 20 minutes watching that. But we're ready to see what Match 10 has in store for us. And like I'd already mentioned, MDF, everyone witnessing Peterbot's pop-off to conclude match number 9.
¿Dónde está cayendo Peter ahorita, güey?
With your duo, you sit and you wait.
Thomas cae en el mejor lugar de todo el juego, güey.
What do you do realistically when you are dealing with the Thanos of the lobby?
Yeah, I mean, hey, they said it, we didn't, right? This is the truth of the matter, is that everyone looks up to this team as clearly the most powerful in the lobby, but now that we are in the back, I mean, that short break does allow for other teams to try to sit down and formulate a strategy. 30 minutes between a game where you get to look into the VOD, look into the replay client, right? Feel out what exactly is going on around you is a huge, huge opportunity. I mean, even now, we're seeing people like Acorn potentially find fights there in the feed, but Huddy and Kovacs need to just escape this duo, quite honestly.
Seems like Sky beat Huddy and Kovacs to the punch. He's actually got a Gatekeeper shotgun, which is going to fare significantly better, you would think, at least. But Huddy actually going to find the first assault. Sky has been knocked. It's exclusively down to Scroll now.
Pisado, qué horrible que te maten cayendo, güey.
Huddy and Kovacs once again.
A la verga, qué feo de ser eso, güey.
Very nicely done for them now.
Vi dónde está el otro sonso, La verga. Cayó con 3 tríos, güey. Bueno, 2 tríos más.
Boyo looking pretty good now. What's happening though? There's action happening here at the raft.
Muy arriesgado lo que hacen, güey. Ah, bueno, solo son con un dúo, el otro está hasta allá, güey.
Get a little bit of loot and just back off as fast as possible. You know, it is pretty interesting to think about a 40-point gap that was once at the
Vaya, por fin llevan varios botiquines, güey. Nunca llevan botiquines, güey.
Right back into the action come the back half. So really showing you that when Peterbot and Pollo win a game, it's usually explosive.
Solitos, mira.
Another thing that's important to note, though, is over at the raft, sure, we're seeing quick departures from Swizzy and Yapko, but their intent for 2 days in a row now has been exclusively get what they can and then immediately start to head towards the weapons bunker. That's been their big play, is trying to establish their surge damage around the underworld, around Grim Gate, but for Clix and Veno, it's another beast entirely. They're dealing with Damo and Resigns. Resigns, though, not going to be able to work his way out of this one, but Clix could pay the price instead. Cuts off into the corner. Damo left to fend for himself here, but Clix is incredibly low. Veno has been knocked, and it's going to be coming out on top. A massive upset for Clix and Veno. They were inside of our top 10, but with that confidence secure,
no mames, ya valió verga Clix.
Real opportunity, because this is the fastest conclusion we've seen yet.
Yeah, and you know, you saw what happened there. They didn't have material to work with. Things ended so fast, and not being able to secure the elimination itself is also just small points lost here. Jumping in with Chicho and Trulix, finding body tags. The Monarch pistol obviously hitting in the range of that 60 plus, but Kanata and Cooper, this is the earliest we've seen them go head to head up against Alex and Worthy, forcing them out of the drop. That was just one of the 2 though. Malabuka and Mustache not happy with Kanata and Cooper taking their pickings here. This is almost a throwback to the Invitational when Kanata had beef at the racetrack up against Malabuka and Mustache.
Malabuka, Thomas HD at the time, but things have shifted because Kanata and Cooper finding that singular elimination now puts them in a power position here at Restored Reels. they have a very real opportunity as well to try and see if they can look for not just the solo, but also taking advantage of the other half section, because keep in mind, Restored Real is usually getting split between only 2 duos, but since Alex and Worthy got cut off so soon, that's going to be even better opportunity still, because Kanata and Cooper know that that POI has not been fully looted.
Well, matches 9 and 10 have been very interesting, since we can see that the
Venga,
zone is going to
buena.
remain down south once again, and Pewterbot and Pollo saw Clix and Vino get eliminated, and they wasted no time to rush in and secure these eliminations up against Resigns and Damo. Damo seems
Verga, pero no vimos cómo mataron a los otros, güey.
steps, but it makes sense, right? They would come in and just finish the job.
¿Cómo salieron vivos con tu medalla? Obviamente mataron a los otros, ¿no?
They have zero fear of Oshi, and they've been very open about that.
No sé, es lo que estoy preguntando.
They've also joined the fray here at Restored Rio's Malabuca Merstash.
O sea que se está arriesgando del todo por nada, o sea, matar gente, pues. Dice verga, lanzó un picotazo.
Malabuca hasn't had his shield fully cracked just yet, but he's definitely low enough. Same could be said though for Chapentini. Armored Wall gonna cut off that aggressive path from Merstash, and they'll have a moment to regenerate their shields.
Chapentini have fallen down to 12th here, but still are very much in the running here. Let's not forget 1.5 points to be earned, so every game having that much more significance on the standing. Look at Teeny slide up behind Malabuca and find an elimination right there. Very nicely done. And in quick fashion there, picks up the loot. He desperately needed that. He's only got 200 material even now. Tap on the other side though, getting tagged off in the distance. Teeny looking to finish off Giras and Shari, who seems to have rotated north from the south after seeing Clix and Vino go down. They're like, oh, okay, there's no one a third party. Let's go the opposite way. Everyone's adjusting.
And I think that adjustment was so unexpected for Malabuca and Merstash. Malabuca was trying to stay hidden because he recognized the fact that there was Giras and Shari on the other side. But again, Teeny, Chap, wasting absolutely no time. Just caught in the center of the action.
I just want to say how interesting that Pewterbot and Pollo see Clix and Vino fall and they push in. Giras and Shari see it and like, let's get out. Very different philosophy, very different strategies at play there, but nonetheless, we progress here onto Bryson Bolts now, who have a little bit of this high ground spot here. Bryson Bolts continue to kind of remain inside this top 10 conversation. However, still shy of a victory royale to really propel them up to the top.
For sure, but for Baka and Pars, this is a site that they haven't had a chance to really take too much advantage of in a while. Their drop by the ship it station usually leaves them in contention to be able to look at a forecast tower or two, but because of the action that's been taking place between Vico, Flixie, Pewterbot, Pollo, all these other duos trying to establish their dominance over these forecast towers, it's been difficult for Pars and Baka to work their way into that conversation. But again, this is also partially Domino's effect because Pewterbot and Pollo rotated so early on to push Damo and Resigns off of the Clix Beno eliminations that now it's left an opening for Baka and Pars to set up home base around the forecast tower that would typically be contested by Pewterbot and Pollo.
Ryzen Agers looking to see it. They can get a couple tags on a team rotating nearby. Well, inside the top 10 here. We can start shifting our conversations a bit towards the prizing as well. Let's not forget how significant it will be as you start breaking into top 10. The difference is in what you earn up towards top 5. That's what players are going to start having to worry about as well, given the performances. Even if first place is not in the question, you want to be up as high as possible.
And that's also an interesting dynamic to consider because some of these teams that are outside of that top 25 in the leaderboard, this might just be a prime opportunity for them to be as reckless as they want because realistically, 6 points per elimination, if they're able to stack 3, 4, possibly even 5, it's never going to be easy, especially not at the caliber of a global stage lobby. But when you know that everybody gets money and when you see such distinct gaps between the prize pooling just for 1 or 2 more placements higher, it's definitely worth trying to key after.
Ese es el compañero de Tomás, se pronuncia Quizzy.
On that note, Shadow and Virgo very much aware that this bunker is going to open here. Now looking to back off, seems like they've sort of met their match. We had time to catch up with Vico's parent, and they said they expect Vico to get much more eliminations today. That is what is the hopes. And look, he has done just that. He is in 3rd place right now. Vico and Flixie absolutely have proven to the world that they are a scary team and someone to be respected.
Just seeing the way that Vico's mom is so invested, though. I mean, granted, I would imagine that any parent would be, but it's just the emotional display. I can only imagine what it's like, because even for us watching, the anxiety is bound to hit. Nerves definitely starting to build here, but the shots have to stay clean as ever for all of these players involved, because you might not have as many opportunities as you would hope for, and Sphinx managing to connect some very optimal shots with that striker burst assault rifle. He's definitely under a little bit of duress himself on the top of his surge base.
Haven't seen much of the early game from Dukes or Sphinx, but they are creeping their way up the standings. Just a silent team at the moment. On the other side, Bugha and Aviv looking to make some noise here at the rest of the railways. I was just gonna say, but you gotta be careful, because here comes Flixie and Vico coming back to home territory. First tag's gonna come out onto Aviv by Flixie from the low ground. A great peek, and Aviv's gonna respect the damage coming in from Vico now and back off.
But both of these teams need to be wary of the fact that they don't want to get caught outside of the zone for a little bit too long. Teams inside of the zone already managing to build up more primary positioning, and when you're trying to break through some of these surge bases that are in more of that central map position, it can be very difficult to work around and still retain as many resources. All of these splashes, a little bit of Flowberry Fizz that Vico has left over. It seems right now he can definitely buy himself more time than what Bugha and Aviv had to offer, but because of that factor, Bugha, Aviv, they're not really interested in the fight.
One thing to note too, the bunker, not really talked about how much ammunition it serves out to the players that secure it. You saw there, Vico and Flixie had 300 ammunition apiece, where you start jumping into other teams who are quite literally dwindling down on resources so soon, they'll start to run out.
It's a big part of the reason why Kovacs seemingly wants to see if he can find another refresh if possible, but again, teams next to the Nitrodrome fully aware of the fact that these last little bits of metal are probably gonna have to be the hard mats that carry them through the rest of this mid game. Some nice connections though.
Oh my god,
that is a big knock.
A huge knock there, and look at this, we jump back in and Flixie's actually down. What went wrong? And now it's up to Vico to try to play this one out. We saw Flixie lurking, trying to get a weird angle onto Aviv and Bugha, and they might have actually caught him off guard.
Aviv and Bugha may have even falsely alluded to Vico and Flixie as if they were, trying to just escape, but in actuality, they were really just setting the trap all along. Flixie was playing rather separate in the first place, and yeah, here, you can already tell, shields cracked, low and exposed, and too easy for the big cheese to take care of.
Aviv and Bugha on the move now. No one in sight here as they get a nice clean rotate down the river's edge here. This is match number 10. The back half of the tournament is very much underway here. Aviv and Bugha have a long way to go if they want to break into that top 10, but they are knocking on the door now. As several eliminations in a good placed game here will put them inside the conversation. And this is after having such a struggle day one, right? Completely, almost unheard of for Bugha and Aviv, but this day two performance is one to be impressed with. Meanwhile, Huddy and Kovacs from one bad game.
Hay un verguero de gente ahí, güey.
Carrying that bad vibe into this one here as well. It's not looking good.
From the frying pan straight into the fire is what it feels like currently for Huddy, but he's hoping He can continue to try and make his escape. Chap, though, intent on looking for the confirmation of this next elimination. He wants the points, but more importantly still, he wants the siphon of those materials. Well, all the little goodies that Huddy might still have to offer with his loadout as well. Keep in mind the splashes and the ammunition go a long way for some of these teams that don't have those weapon bunkers like you already called.
Vico has now brought back Flixie with the reboot van. The most important part about losing your teammate, I think, is the time lost, right? And the resources handed over to the opponent to, of course, secure it. Sure, you'll have time to kind of get back into the swing of things, but you are very behind on time now, which obviously is so valuable, and you do not get back.
Well, I think what's even crazier still is the fact that they were still a couple hundred damage above the threshold. Despite this setback, they are still in an okay position to try and crawl their way out of the hole that Aviva and Buga essentially placed them into. But top of Rift
No me
Island,
acuerdo, pero ese verde. Búscalo en internet.
after some very essential material, they have 0 metal though.
Como chapulín insecto, búscalo.
As the mid to late game
Vamos a que te aparezca el chapulín colorado.
because they're gonna have to play
Sí, pues.
exclusively off of brick walls if they enter any engagements at the top of Rift Island here.
Still very, very difficult spot to be in for Huddy here. They have the damage, not much more than that. That's really the truth of it. Look at how many teams have also began to kind of house up here on the Rift Island. You have the likes of Muzz and Epic Whale, amongst others. Huddy here just trying to figure out what he can scrap together. Material is extremely low here. Even now, he's playing with fire here as he's trying to inch his way into the structure above, getting ever so closer to visuals and company. But on the other side, Peter Moyo making a move here from the outside of the zone now, and they are not looking too hot down at the red line rig.
This could actually be a big spot of trouble here if Peterbot and Poyo aren't careful. They had teams on both sides of them as they continue to try and work their way into Brawler's Battleground. Just look at the amount of materials they've had to expend already, and they're still sitting just outside the edge of zone. All the while, Vico, Flixie, they have cracked into the edge, but now they got to try and break past Reason and the deal.
This is a fight they've seen before. No strangers to one another on the European region. However, there's still Michael and Job also firing in on this fight, so it's not just a clean 2v2. Vico and Flixie, though, have a lot to worry about. They need damage, but more importantly, they need this refresh. Job steps in and just gets crushed for a moment there, but Flixie damaged as well. Vico doubles down on the armored walls and actually finds the elimination. Meanwhile, Poyo and Peterbot are fighting their way in as well. And this time it's up against Cold and Acorn.
Cold and Acorn have been
Mataron a
struggling
Peter.
as far as their surge has been concerned, and big part of the reason why they don't have that direct contest that they were able to depend on in day number 1 up against the likes of Andalix and Sato. So taking this exchange with Peterbot and Poyo, it's only going to hinder.
Pero ellos tienen para marcar y acaban de marcar dónde está la gente, güey. Pero llevan 0 botiquín, güey. No llevan nada de curación ya estos vergas, güey. 5.
Meanwhile, you would have thought it was Damo who was close nearby, but no, it's Agers in the storm, looking like a solo as well. What is happening here? This is gonna give a
Oh my god, qué suerte, güey.
Poyo and Peterbot when the skin comes out and they see Agers potentially there in the distance.
Yeah, they're also gonna recognize the fact that he's a...
They're gonna think he's a solo, but he's not.
Agers is just far enough away from Rise, though, that Poyo and Peterbot, you saw the confidence in that movement. They were full sprinting. They're not trying to hide anything.
Nada, se están yendo al ataque con todo, güey.
Instantly recognizing the danger in sight. It's gonna fall back immediately.
La verga, las estrategias.
They see his duo in the distance, and they're gonna opt to fall back. Agers and Rise will live to see another day.
Definitely a close one. Poyo and Peterbot are moving so fast as well, and you know, for good measure, they need more damage. They are not quite there just yet. Giras and Shari gonna be the next ones up for Pickens here, but nothing is gonna connect.
Ah, bueno, por eso están yendo al ataque, necesitan shorts, ajá.
Take a look at the highlights.
Yeah.
You blinked, you missed it. Baka and Pars get deleted by the young Cole. Very nicely done. He's starting to heat up, it seems now. In the back half, that short break probably much
No
needed.
sé, a lo mejor agarran de más.
That Flixie and Vico picked up off screen is carrying their surge damage threshold currently, sitting just barely above.
Tiraron unas que agarraron ahorita ahí, pero por equivocación, pues.
More importantly still, they need to find another loot refresh if possible. They're gonna have to create the situation themselves. Meanwhile, Peterbot Pollo, this could be exactly everything for Ed and Persa have fallen. And a big
Ahí está, están tirando esas armas que agarran de más, como tienen todo vacío. Al momento de agarrar balas y las madres esas se las traen igual. My God. Este lleva 0 kills, güey. Se puso nervioso una vez que ya bajó segundo, ¿va? Porque iba al ataque y hacía algo de kills en esta primera.
When you're looking at Thomas HD and Queasy's loadouts in comparison to Pollo and Peterbot, they are in tatters at this phase. And now, taking the flaming boost tube, they're gonna try to catapult themselves. It's helping them cover some distance, but at the same time, they're just still so far behind everyone else, very likely to get held the moment that they surface.
They go, sneaking their way out.
Aquí la medalla de Doom estaría buenísima, güey, porque esa madre cada que haces una kills te cura, güey.
Peterbot holding on with just a single strong foot. Let's see it though. They find a little weak ramp here, try to double out onto Jonathan Pixis. And nothing comes out. Pixie manages to level up just a little bit more there. And the hunt continues.
Peterbot and Pollo, though, they're going to send out their next scan off that reveal medallion. It's Siyun and Kadu. But Siyun and Kadu, they might even be caught in a different exchange of their own. Believe that they're applying some pressure onto Epicwell and Muzz, who are sitting on the low ground just underneath them. Cheeps as well. So incredibly hurt, but Peterbot, Pollo, they are just praying for any sort of refresh, but nobody is coming near them. Keep in mind that reveal medallion also marking their position on the map. People know Peterbot and Pollo are on the approach.
Yeah, Kato is trying his best to see if he can swing around.
A la mierda, esos que agarraron a la altura, güey.
Peterbot and Pollo not having anything to do with it. In fact, finding more tags now into Kato. They're gonna recognize we just shield cracked here, push in, take the wall. They didn't have heavy material before, so what did they have to work with? Armored wall comes out, give them a little bit of room, but different duos now looking to collapse in. Luckily, the tag was onto Peterbot and not his teammate. Otherwise, it will be Rats here. Great Monarch tags, but
el pollo se quedó otra vez.
Literally operating on fumes right now.
Peterbot is down to his final 4 builds.
Wow.
Make that 3. He's still got 6 armored walls though, but he'll have to be so meticulous with how he actually places them. But just in time, Chris has
Botiquín, 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 botiquín.
No! Down they go in 17th place. They just couldn't get a footing. Look at who it is, Vico on the other side here.
Verga, se cayó ese verga, güey.
Goes some of the immediate threat, and things begin to open up for Cammy and Seti. Once again on the high ground, Queasy and Thomas, also who are just on a day 2 performance of their careers right now.
The opportunity has arisen though. Thomas HD and Queasy know if they can just close this one out in any sort of fashion, like some of the successful matches they've had earlier here today, that could be all the difference necessary. Only 54 points currently separates first and second place. Spinks from the low ground, trying to take some chops up onto height. Success as well. Seti and Cammy will be forced to try and pave their way forward. Still looking to maintain a front side position of this next zone, but Duke, Spinks right behind him, threatening. They're gonna have to push forward as well though. It's only a matter of time before the 2 have to clash.
Spinks and Dukes have turned their focus to high ground here. They want to be up on that podium before the weekend's over, and there's just 3 games to do it. Here we are in the final moments, top 15 now. Things are starting to heat up here for Thomas HD and Queasy. Material running low, they have to find the refresh here. Desperation will start to kick in. They saw the shield crack. Sidewall goes in. They're fully committed. Armored walls. It's all
Fue a que lo mataron, el pendejo, güey. ¿Viste cómo se metió, güey? Se metió a la bota, la bot para que lo mataran.
He will have to figure out how to clutch up for the team now.
At least for a moment, he's gonna opt to play his final med kit.
Sí, güey, solito se fue a entregar, güey, porque quiso hacer kills, güey, para rebasar a Peter, güey, y solito sentenció su muerte. Bueno, mientras gente siga haciendo kills. No, vas a morir, qué pendejo, güey. Qué estúpido, güey. Y viste al otro idiota, güey. Fue a morirse a la tormenta por material, güey. Malas decisiones, güey, te cuestan tanto, güey. Ah, está Peter feliz de la vida.
Trick out of the hat at this point and come back with another win today.
Seti is already out. Cammy may have been right next to him. Swizzy and Yapko on the other hand, they're looking.
¿Sabes cuántos puntos da una win?
Created so much space, but working through these pre-existing builds and even the buildings themselves here at Brawler's Battleground is posing so much of an issue because Bryce Bolts in the mid-ground, Pixie as a solo. He's going to opt for the medkit play as well. Teams falling left and right, and the solos left behind, just hoping that the duos clash into each other.
Japko and Swizzy, very solid team, doing what they need to. Beautiful tag out to Giros, puts him down quickly. Teammate falls behind.
Buena.
And Japko delivered Pixie right afterwards, and they jumped their way up to 8 eliminations in the top 3 now. Bolts is weak, but Bryce is healthy. Sphinx and Dukes waiting their timeout from the high ground, listening to what's happening down low. The medallions in full effect, so they have all the information needed, and they're cutting them off. What an angle from Bryce here to find 1, now 2 on the low ground. Down comes Sphinx and Dukes. The call has been made. They're looking to close this game out, and they're a very weakened duo down here.
Dukes feeling good about this one, though. He knows that these players have got to be low. Final 3 builds remain. Sphinx right up above.
Buena.
It's only going to take one last shot. Dukes waiting to see which hole Bolts tries to scramble out from under. Armored walls to surround himself for the time being.
That's so smart. He's got something to heal with. He actually is trying to survive it, but Sphinx was also ready on the high ground, and he has
¡Qué estupidez! Ya no la acá, güey. El de la navideña. Buenísima. Se boxeó. Buenísima, buenísima. Por cura de nada, pues sí, güey, ni uno tenía material ni nada, güey, no te quejas de otra, güey. Ahí vuelvo.
Walk us through the end game there. We saw the heals came into play, but what a way. The crowd absolutely loving that too.
We finally got a south pole for the first time. It went to the sand. We also got surge guns this game, so we decided to just stay our spot, get surge. After that, we made it to end game pretty easily. Once we were there, it was just refreshes, you know, it was just clockwork. I don't know, Bryce is one of the best IGLs in the game. I'm one of the best fraggers, and put that together, we're one of the best players ever.
I mean, Bryce, you know, we hear it from their Bolts. It was an incredible way to round things up here. Obviously, you guys want to get as far up the leaderboard as possible now. Walk us through this competition thus far. How has it been for you both as a duo?
It's been pretty challenging, but like we're the best duo, so it's nothing like different than NA East, pretty much, or NA Central.
And I got to ask as well, we heard it from these guys, Fort Worth. I mean, Fort Worth, let them hear you one more time. You've got the crowd on your side too here. That must give you a lot of wind in your wings as well.
Yeah, a lot of adrenaline running. I'm really nervous, but I'm also excited.
All right, you heard it there. Bryce and Bolts, one more time, give it up for your winners! Whew. Lots more coming our way here. Bryson Bolt's there securing.
Me imagino que es la familia del negro.
What's going to happen next? You have a front row seat. Do not go anywhere. This crowd already. We know
Es
you
mentira,
guys are
Twitch.
too. We'll see for plenty more right after this break.
Ella participa sin escolta.
Sí, porque tengo
Nada más. Pero no me voy a quedar, porque eso no queda.
O sea, ya que ya hay hecho, ya no importa si no, ¿no? Vale.
La guerra se aproxima.
Debe ser obra de Sauron.
Se está escribiendo el capítulo más importante de esta edad.
Puedo ayudarte a destruirlo.
¿Qué fue lo que me hiciste? ¡Cthulhu!
¿En serio crees que fuiste la única que cedió ante mi poder? Galadriel.
¿Ya conoces a Ovatol? Ovatol es el aliado de miles de mujeres. Con inositol 100% puro, sin agregados innecesarios y sin saborizantes artificiales, Ovatol te brinda la más alta biodisponibilidad de Mio y de Kiro inositol en cada toma con un radio 40 ohms. El radio de inositol recomendado para mujeres. Meticulosamente diseñado por nutricionistas y farmacéuticos pensando en el cuidado de la mujer. Simplemente agrega un scoop en agua fresca o a temperatura ambiente y disfruta. Su sabor es casi imperceptible. Ovatol es garantía de confianza en cada toma. ¿Aún no lo has probado? Cuéntanos por qué Ovatol te enamora.
Si cocinas para uno o para todos. Si solo tienes unos minutos o te tomas tu tiempo. Si cuidas cada detalle o eres práctico. Si eres cuidadoso o no tanto. Más duraderos, nada se le pega y fácil de lavar. Piensa en Cinza, 95 años, cocinando contigo.
¿Cómo lo dices? ¿Qué es un pollote? Imagen.
And it was a southeastern zone, and then by staying in the storm to get that bunker, you just have so much potential to sacrifice, especially when people are paying attention to all those outside teams going for those tags. You just have to use mats, and you're going to have to use your heals a little early in that situation.
Yeah, the casters mentioned it as well. They made a more quick south rotation, of course, within that very first zone to take out the OCE team down there that took out Veno and Clicks, and I think they didn't get the forecast tower there either, so they were always back in the storm. They didn't know where that next zone was going to be, so they couldn't plan ahead. And we've kind of seen that a lot throughout the day and the whole weekend, I guess, with Peterbot and Poyo. They haven't necessarily looked like the most healthy team, the most stacked team at all circumstances and all situations, but they have the fragging power, they have the ability to pull themselves out of that situation, and that's what makes this team so great.
Absolutely. We saw there in a moment, Thomas HD jumps into a box, making the maddest play I think I've ever seen. What's interesting about this duo, right? Earlier on in the game, around 4th zone, they're sitting 700 above.
Yeah.
And then we go into like 7th zone, they're 400 above. And then kind of running out of steam as far as like mats are concerned.
Yeah, I mean, look at this, just 3 builds available to them, unfortunately jumping into that box. It was possible that Thomas HD thought that it could have been a solo, but Queasy, once again, just with that solo clutch, even though he wasn't able to get too much besides the elimination and an 11th place finish, that still adds up, Mini.
Yeah, it does. I mean, it was a similar situation to earlier on where he actually left the body in the storm. He couldn't get the heals and the materials and stuff that was on that body earlier. He went for it this game. He tried it. He saw those chug splashes, which of course can heal your whites, and he tried to go for it. Wasn't quite enough there at the end, but again, a nice game. Of course, Peterbot and Poyo there got 17th place. I think it was an 11th place for these guys right here, so they're getting the edge on them. It's just not quite enough to take over that first place spot.
This is going to be a fight until the very end. 2 games left to go, and then a champion will be crowned. Fortnite fam, let's get ready to jump into game 11 on the day. Casters, over to you.
Here it is. There's only 2 more chances now. Match 11 being one of them coming right up.
It almost feels so surreal at this point, MDF, that we are right on the cusp of crowning our next global champions.
Yeah, and it is really close at the top. I can't believe Queasy and Thomas couldn't take the small opportunity available, but let's see it. How many more chances will everyone get here in match number 11 to take their shot at the throne? Because at this point, Peterbot and Poyo have served up too many opportunities. They can't surely come up short, right?
You would think so, but at the same time, NDF, with a 1.5 times point multiplier, anything is possible. And speaking of crazy possibilities here, Brutal Beachhead, Gal Gamer, Haman, they're actually going to fly right overhead. They've recognized they have been completely outdropped. Their intentions are elsewhere. Sato and Andalex, though, on the north side of the warship here at Brutal Beachhead. Could be a moment for Acorn and Cole to potentially manifest their own destiny here on the day, because they have certainly encountered a fair share of struggles. And the contest also continues at the Rebels Roost for Kovacs, Putty, Sky, and Scroll.
Looking for an opportunity, looking for an angle right now. Putty's gonna get a huge pickup from the drop right there. So that's the round out the loadout here. Shotgun, AR ready to go. Burst being a great option so early right now. Monarch pistol for Kovacs, so not exactly the best. However, this is a hot drop, so you can see there are plenty of drones flying around that'll drop good loot as well. But Scroll and Sky this time not content with what they've received. Back off. We've seen them do this before. Meanwhile, on the other side, a power-worthy and Alex kicking things off, continuing their domination over Restored Reels. they really have impressed us, I would say, with what they're capable of in the early game. If they can just patch up that mid game, I mean, they would make OCE very proud.
Well, they've managed to smooth out the difficulties that they had in day one as far as that 50-50 drop is concerned and restored reels. The problem now today has just been Kanata and Cooper amongst other teams just closing in on that location after they see the exchange take place. But Acorn is currently situated here at Brutal Beachhead without Cold, and considering the Andalex as an elimination of his own, you have to expect that that was the one he found on the Cold.
Yeah, it's sad to see, but it's about the worst we've seen Acorn and Cold do in person right now, and there's a lot of factors starting to add up. Normally, they played very, very well, you know, being contested. However, there were some rumors Cold wasn't feeling 100% today, so that could be taking its effect here now, especially as we drag on later into the evening, as they've kind of slipped down, but shift our focus into the stars of the evening, if you will. Pollo and Peterbot right now really starting to take form here. Last game makes you wonder what all went wrong in the mid game, given that they were just in shambles somehow. No extra material. And then on the other side, Queasy and Thomas had a opposite situation, but this time it's an elimination.
They pushed in rather quick to capitalize on Kramsu and Clone, who do land a little bit north of where Research Rock is at, and sure enough, Queasy just beaming Kramsu. Could have potentially just been a circumstance where Kramsu didn't even have time to react. He just got dropped in 2 shots pretty much, so well played to Queasy, Thomas HD for that one. Something we were just talking about in between these matches is the fact that Queasy and Thomas have been able to find the placement points, but what they need to add to it at this stage are the eliminations.
Definitely being elimination light is what's holding them back on the standings right now, but consistency is surely theirs, and that'll trump everything. Talk about consistent teams. Vico and Flixie have been online, but this time they have to be careful, have to be wary of Bryson Bolts, who are coming off a Victory Royale, given that they are another top 10 team, so that's not gonna be easy by any means, but a battle for the Forecast Tower is, of course, worth fighting for. And we've seen Bryson Bolts escape already with the cards, so.
Not only that, I mean, even factor in what happened yesterday. Bryson Bolts taking out Flixie when he did secure that Forecast key card, so anything goes just about. Just because you get the key card, until you actually confirm it onto that Forecast Tower, you can't consider it in your control. Teeny and Chap, though, across the map, just putting on so much pressure here for Garrison Shari. No real opportunity for them to bounce back here.
Garrison Shari mixing up the strategies doesn't seem to be working going north at all right now. They were better off.
¿Por qué tienen esa base así a pura rampa? No pueden tirar fácil.
Chicho now in Trulex, just outside the Doomstat. Big base here, ramped out almost to see what they can find. Things are going to slow down here for a moment, but on the other side, things starting to heat up now for Chap and Teeny. Another elimination to finish the duo off.
They knew that Shari was a solo, though, after collecting Gira, so it makes sense that they would take the time to pinpoint his location. The surge damage, just such a massive necessity to collect early on, so that way they can have better control over their rotations as the match progresses. Because we are down to our final 2 lobbies here today, MDF. Walks Ping getting active now because the likes of Rise and Yuma, and they're gonna win out. 2 big eliminations to add to the tab, as Pollo and Peterbot yet again also finding themselves fully in control of the Forecast Tower.
They've doubled back, they've secured it again, and this means that they will have all the information for all of the zones coming up. It's such an advantage. And it's not just them, right? There are other teams, of course, securing other Forecast Towers. However, they have just been the team that be able to do the most with that information.
Vuelvo.
Now you've got the team with the best medallion, the best striker burst assault rifle, the best kind of opportunities to set themselves into optimal positioning thanks to the forecast. Shutting that down might not even be the focus. More so, it's just got to be other teams emphasizing even more still into their own gameplay to ensure that they can keep up at this point.
Miko and Flixie trying to keep up. I love that they go around, tag other teams, and then double back to the railways, always looking for someone who makes the mistake of getting to their drop spot, looking for scraps. Seems to be what works. On the other side, though, CZB, Nathan, EU team going up against Bryson Bolts right now. Bryson Bolts are actually just waiting right now, probably not too sure about what they want to do. I'm sure they want to get back to farming as they don't have much to work with here, and CZB and Nathan seem to catch a read here. They don't want to take this fight.
Yeah, CZB and Nathan, they're in a far better position as well, just having that little bit of elevation to work with. So Bryce Bolts, they're likely going to head the opposite direction, but something I couldn't help but notice, last time we checked in with Trulex and Chicho, that surge base that they had established, the way that they were taking shots into Doomstad, wondering how much interference they've been playing today up against the likes of Muzz and Epic Whale, Reet and Ritual. Keep in mind, those two teams are trying to head, they're already softly contesting each other. They've been splitting Doomstad between the north and south sides, but when you've got Trulex and Chicho, such strong mechanical players, you know they have such crazy pinpoint accuracy, and they're holding you with the surge base from so far. It can be very difficult to actually work your way out of that location.
Especially if it forces you into another team that you're not expecting, which of course will be disastrous. Chicho and Trulex doing just that as well, talking about manipulating these rotates. They're trying to do that here. No tags right now into Rapid and Batman Booga. However, Trulex has got a completely different angle here on the outskirts. But the call's being made. Time to get a move on it here. They'll be one of the first to rotate now.
Plenty of rocks, though, to easily refarm some of the brick that they had invested for that first surge base. And just behind them, you can see Muzz, Epic Whale. They've had to maintain a low profile to prevent themselves from being victims of Trulex and Chicho's Eagle Eyes inside of that surge base. But the surge bases continue to pose issues for plenty of other teams around the lobby. Here we've got Poyo and Peterbot actually looking to see if they can capitalize onto Sky and Scroll. One above, one below. Sky Scroll caught in the center. But they're gonna try to just finagle their way out of this one, sure enough. Poyo, though, just quick to the chase.
Haven't quite got the tags, though, right? So something isn't going right for this battle here. Clearly, the goal is damage and or eliminations, but none being earned. Meanwhile, Ping and Wox right here are in a completely different fight. Deep into the storm, just outside the underworld. Wox, who's at 3 eliminations here, clearly fired up for match 11 right now. Chasing down visuals and Braids. Finds the wall. Ping on the other side, gets the edit. However, Braid slips out.
This is looking rather dire, though, for Braids. For Wox and Ping, they've already invested so much time. They need this surge damage at this point, which is why Wox, he's so intent, so determined to make sure that he cleans up the other half of this duo. Not to mention the 3 eliminations as well. Wox and Ping playing super aggressive. Some of these final lobbies. A knock, though, is going to be a big setback here for Wox and Ping. They have some white heals to work with, but keep in mind, we just saw Trulex and Chicho's positioning. All the other teams as well that are based a little bit more towards that northeast side of the map are going to have ample opportunity to just gatekeep these teams that are still inside the storm, rotating so late.
Think about what they're fighting for. These are all of our top 10 teams we're jumping in and giving you guys updates with. You are seeing just why they are sitting well within the top 10. Taking fights, dropping teams, making big moments every single chance that they get, and now Dukes and Sphinx are looking to do just that as well here, as they're sitting heavily in 5th here. But Kramsu Clone looking for the double pincer here. Both sides are cut off, but Dukes and Sphinx double back one another. Good defensive wall thrown down there. The tags are even better, but Dukes, as mechanical as he is, can't take too many of those tags there. Will he be set back? Kramsu really pushing the agenda here, as is Clone.
Y en vivo Peter y Thomas.
And Kramsu, they're trying to make up for lost time. Queasy getting that initial elimination posed such a big setback because they had to make a play for the reboot ban. So now you know that they need some surge damage to efficiently move throughout the rest of this mid game. And Dukes and Sphinx, they wouldn't mind the refresh materials at this point. They're using up a lot of their splashes just to try and get the job done. Not sure which duo actually decided to start the engagement, but at this point, somebody needs to find closure before the third party trickles in.
Yeah, Dukes and Sphinx gonna get another tag here onto Kramsu, but not much. Clone is also hurt, but so is Sphinx. Sphinx seems to be the one taking the most damage in this battle. All of these chug splashes coming out to make sure they keep him up. Given the circumstances, the Flowberry Fizz to reset the full HP now. They're gonna commit back into it. They're too deep into the water now to give this one up. They're gonna have to swim their way out. They need the mats, they need the material, they need everything that they can pick up off of Dukes and Sphinx here. And Sphinx and Dukes need to stay alive because they're inside the top 5, so much more riding on the line for them right now.
But again, the fact that they've even been held up for this long with Kramsu and Clone is such a huge detriment. There are multiple teams now beginning to filter in around them, and the way that the zone has started to pull over the likes of Reckless Railways, keep in mind that's also Vico and Flixie's backyard, and they've got that forecast knowledge from this match.
Ya lo boxeó, güey.
2 tags come in, and he is forced back to the low ground. This is not going the way they
A la
expected.
verga, güey. ¿Cómo se le mete, güey?
Sphinx also punished now. The Hispanic duo sees blood in the water here as they've caught the white tags. They are hunting as aggressive as ever.
Verga.
Down goes Sphinx first.
Verga.
Smalls as well in 5th place is out now. And this is going to give everyone else the chance now to secure that 5th plus. Brazanti Tema, they'll move in here. It's not over for Clone and Kramsu. In fact, it's done for them now.
Viste, güey, uno pica y el otro se mete a disparar, güey. En lo que uno pica, el otro se mete de vergazo, güey. Qué buena estrategia, güey. Ah, se nos vamos a pisar ahí arriba, güey.
Clone and Kramsu, sure they got the points from the set of eliminations onto Dukes and Sphinx, but fact of the matter is, they weren't in a position to be able to deal with the third party after the fact that Kramsu left as a solo, and this time he might not have the opportunity to actually make a reboot ban play like his partner just did for him earlier on. All the while, Chicho and
Ese Falcon chico, güey, tiene posibilidades de subir bastante, güey. Va en cuarto, güey.
They've got a massive overview.
Pero la ha estado haciendo bien últimamente.
This brick box on top of the mountain face as well. Very easy to spot for other teams, which means the flow of traffic for players moving into this next zone likely going to be restricted by Chicho and Trulix.
Yeah, this is as big as bases get here, especially given that it's off the mountain, so they just have so much visibility on the edge of the map. Rift Island, once again, housed by Peterbot and Pollo. Probably the 8th time out of these 11 matches they will show up consistently here. Playing into the storm right now. I wonder what's the game plan here. As they continue to rack up tags. Does seem like they will need a fight here soon.
Peterbot's got all the chug splashes for this duo. Go ahead and make sure to expend a handful of them, but Pollo, Peterbot, no. It's just gonna be Flowberry Fizz into the launch pad and go, but they can see all the teams that are rifting around them, teams that might even be looking to take that launch pad later on, but most importantly of all, they're heading straight for surge-based territory.
Look at who they're gonna land on. They're following Huddy and Kovacs right now.
Y uno solo,
Fresh wall from Scrubble and Sky. That would even be a better option given that this is a weakened team. Little did they know, but Pollo gets the first tag onto him, and unfortunately that sets him back. Goes for a trade attacks onto Swizzy, and Peterbot showing us exactly what he is known for, and that is that deadly aim right there to keep them in the game. But just on the line of Surge right now, floating above it. They're not completely safe just yet.
Can't lose focus though. Swizzy and Yapko are not gonna go out without a fight. Sure, Peterbot might have that mythic striker burst, but Yapko returning fire, letting them know it's not gonna be easy. 58 below the damage threshold though for Kovacs and Huddy. They are just getting so held by everyone surrounding them, barely managing to find a shot in the nick of time. More importantly still, it seems other players falling in the lobby instead will be their bailout moment. They are fortunately gonna be able to take a quick moment to pause, heal up, and then determine where they head next. Harping out.
Que prácticamente no hay nada para rotar, güey, solo la champañita, ¿verdad, güey? Siempre en los torneos buenos, hasta en la pasada había algo con que rotar, güey.
Eliminations being a massive recovery opportunity for them. Let's take a look at it. It was Worthy who was flying in here. He didn't stand a chance. Unfortunately, fell short of the storm line there.
Sí, solo eso para rotar, güey, está perro, güey.
Thomas HD hot on the heels of Flixie and Vico now. That would be an incredible team to drop, given that they are in 3rd place.
They could just play for Deadside at this point. They have so much damage above the rest of the lobby. They're gonna be a little bit late, but Thomas HD, do you ever miss with the Monarch pistol, man?
We have seen him do so much damage with that weapon. It wouldn't doubt me if the stats say that he is far and above the rest with the Monarch here on the weekend. Take a look at that in just a moment, but Kovacs, Huddy now, very much below the surge here, forced into a box-to-box engagement here. This is as scrappy as it's gonna get, and they need an elimination here now.
Yeah,
Starting to run short on time. It's going to be a matter of moments before this.
No mames, van bajísimo, güey. Necesitan matar a esos vergas sí o sí, güey.
The damage threshold is only going to continue to climb even higher. Huddy, Kovacs, forced to jump into sky.
Ya valieron, ver.
But it's not going to do them any good.
No, mataron a uno, aunque sea.
Scroll, but that's just going to be the setup for Wox and Ping. They take Scroll's body, instantly throw it back into their turf. Sky now left to fend for himself as a solo. Plenty of damage above the threshold, but in a sea of duos, what options does he really have?
And they're just sitting on that refresh right there. Now they're all the way back into the thing. This is kind of crazy for Wox and Ping. They've come out like reasonably out of nowhere, literally now in 4 eliminations. And they're just in this conversation for a top 5 run this game. Just 20 points behind now, Bryce and Bolts, given how many eliminations they're starting to pick up here. For Bolts and Bryce though, they're finally finding theirs too, so that's a set starting to add up here.
Look at how isolated Queasy and Thomas HD were though on that far west side of the zone. A little bit of a dead side position, but they are going to have to deal with Paper and Victor V, I believe, who seem to be joined up with them. Not gonna be an easy path to trek by any means, but right there with you, Bryce and Bolts have really started to heat up here. And this is where it matters most, because you only have this lobby and the next to work with, and then that's it. And there is a lot of prize money on the line when you look at these positions in the top 5 of the leaderboard.
Oh, the gap is a big jump. The first Bolts and Bryce have to make it there, if you will. They're in the top 5, but pushing through is gonna be difficult now, given that they're running low on HP, even shorter on damage here. The fact that Bolts has to rely on bandages here, but a great shot there. Not enough to find the elimination, unfortunately. Loses his teammate in the process, however. He is above the threshold for now. It'll buy him a little bit of time. Glowberry Fizz to give him that extra mobility here, so he moves fast. Also to get an inch further, it's Reason who's down at the bottom layer. What can Bolts do now? Can he maintain his position here?
Reason had also been desperate for some elimination damage, but Bolts will get the last laugh. Granted, I don't know how long it'll last, considering the fact that his current position is as grim as ever, especially seeing all these teams in front of him. Chiefs just skirting by. Benoit clicks his box. Bolts hoping to keep ramping up overhead, just trying to maintain an isolated position, but 25 above the damage threshold, and he will finally be taken out.
While all that is happening, there is more action unfolding here for the likes of Thomas HD and Queasy, who are now looking to set themselves up with some high ground positioning once again here. How many wins do we think they can take before the weekend's over at this point? Match 11 starting to heat up, though. Not looking good for Clix and Vino, who are also going to fall inside the top 20. Peterbot and Foyo continuing to rack up the eliminations here.
They couldn't have found those elims at a better time. Granted, it would be difficult for them to actually make their way towards the body loot, but Peterbot Poyo, they might just choose to take what's right in front of them. Rise immediately falls to Peterbot's accuracy, but it comes at a cost. Peterbot's lost Poyo. The lobby has closed in. Peterbot from the low ground, forced to throw out the armored wall, but everybody's got their eyes on the prize. It seems as though they've all pinpointed the fact that this is a solo operation.
And look, he's still trying to possibly save his teammate. Remember, Poyo has a lot of heals as well in the extra material, but no, he has to give it up. He has to leave him behind. And we have seen Peterbot be here before. I mean, he just won a game where he clutched it up. So top 14 now. It's not over just yet. Queasy still alive. Thomas HD on the front side of zone. Peterbot is just cooking, though. Taking down Teeny now. Every single time he drops a team and finds more eliminations, he is gapping himself away from second and third place.
And think about the mental game. It's starting to unfold for Queasy and Thomas. They're watching this elimination feed light up. Peterbot, regardless if he's got Poyo or not, he's willing to make some miracles happen. Low ground control, though, belongs to Thomas HD and Queasy. They're trying to make some eliminations happen. They need those points. They've got 5 already, but Peterbot just
My God.
this massacre at this stage.
Keep your attention down to the bottom right now as Thomas HD just found elimination in low ground, and they're starting to put the pressure while Peterbot's trying to rotate. Thomas is going to find another one down low, and he is still cooking here. Meanwhile, Queasy backs him up and takes down Reet on the
Estaría verguísimo, güey.
and they are just turning up. This is why they're first and second place, giving into this 11 match right here. They are decimating the lobby.
It's a 1 versus 2 scenario, but Peterbot is just making it happen. Thomas HD and Queasy sitting at 8 eliminations already.
Oh my God. Ese verga, esto es de otro planeta, ese verga, güey. Lo vuelvo a decir, es el CR7 de Fortnite. Sí, obviamente sería épico, güey. Tíralos a la verga, Peter. ¡Esa medalla! Ah, no, no era. Si es la de Doom. No la vi, güey. Ah, bueno, pero ¿dónde dicen las medallas aquí? Ah, no lo dice. Ve, tómalo, güey. Dick Buga. Qué buenísimo está, güey. Buga, Thomas y Peter, güey. ¡Bien pisado! ¡Oh my God! ¡Buga, güey! ¡Está vivo! Ya lo pisaron. ¡No! No tiene vida, güey. La cabra, la cabra. La puta de la cabra. La cabra, la cabra. No mames, güey. Está pasadito de verga. El pollo está como que verga. Voy a ser millonario por este verga. Güey, tú tomas Buga y Peter y Quizzy. No mames, ese sí estuvo verguísimo, güey. Pues yo se la pasa muerto, sí, güey. O sea, llega a la final después, pero no sabe qué hacer, güey. Creo que se pone nervioso, güey. La comparación de Peter, güey, que... No mames, güey. Está perro ese chavo, güey.
We started the day with you guys, a good 60 points in the lead.
Está muy perro ese verga, güey.
And Queasy all day long. It goes down to the last game now. That has got to be the greatest way to kickstart the last game of this competition. What do you guys get? I mean, how do you kind of take in this moment? Everyone watching around the world, everyone competing together. This is your time. Do you feel this is your time as a duo as well?
Yeah, I think they're gonna land on. Yeah, I think they're gonna land on this last game, and then we're just gonna kill them, and that'll be it.
Oye, huele mucho a suave.
Expecting that as well. Do you think there's a chance that Thomas and Queasy may make the play and go for you guys and land where you're landing and challenge you?
I think so. Okay. Maybe.
I was gonna say, I've asked you guys.
Los niños van ganando hasta ahorita, güey. O sea, todos son chavitos, pues. 2 millones o 3 millones de dólares, creo, ahí van a ganar, güey. ¿Cuánto es, Pato? ¿2 o 3 millones?
We could not have asked for a greater way to go into our final game 12. It is so close now. FNCS Global Championships 2024 could not have asked for a better way to close things out. Do not go anywhere. Stay exactly where you are.
Ah, no es en total. Creo que el primer lugar se lleva eso, ¿no? Solo 1 millón. Según yo sí, o sea, los dos. Según yo los dos se ganaban todo eso, güey. Obviamente, güey. Pero están muy chavos, güey. No les va a durar mucho. Si tuvieran mi edad, a lo mejor sí. Te vas a caer. Viste que también ya como tú y Jimena le tienen miedo a la cara de papá. ¿Qué no?
No. Te vas a caer, ven. Ready.
Fortnite fam, Fortnite fam, we are seeing history being made before our very eyes. Vivid 11-2K. Is that possibly the craziest clutch we have ever seen in FNCS history?
Stakes on the line, right? Like, it may not be like one of the, I don't know, like the craziest ones we've ever seen, but you have to take everything into account. On the stage, lights are on, fans are cheering. They're both first and second place. Peterbot's a solo, and he's just ice cold in the clutch. Levin, we can never count him out. How?
It doesn't get much better than this. I mean, this is everything you asked for. When Poyo goes down, you're looking at Peterbot going, surely he doesn't clutch again. We just saw one of the best clutches we've seen from him all year. And then with Queasy and Thomas in the lobby, they are just bossing it. It looks like if anybody else is in the lobby other than those two, it's a clear win for them. But for them to come blow to blow at the end there, Vivid, oh my goodness. This script is nuts.
You're welcome. You're welcome. There's no way. How would we have ever known? How would we know? And it's like in those moments, right? Top 25, you always kind of wish like the first and second team kind of go head to head. In a manner like this, though, where really Peterbot should not have been able to pull this off. Back against the wall, look at the materials, look at all, and yet he takes down Thomas, and then it's just a 1v1, and it comes down to angles? What are these angles, Vivid?
I don't know, like Peterbot's tracking.
La cabra, la puta de la cabra.
First, immediately build afterwards. Just, it's got like what, 25 HP right there. Just takes no damage from Queasy at all. It is just insane.
I mean, thank you to those guys for making this the competition of ages, really.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people came into today thinking it wasn't going to be close. They were going to run away with it, myself included.
Yeah.
But these guys have put up a championship winning performance, and you look at individuals, of course, Peter talking a bit of smack there, right, when he's saying he wishes it was he was happy it was Queasy instead of Thomas. But when you look at how Thomas has been playing, understandably so, Thomas has been absolutely on it all throughout the day. The shots he's been hitting has been so clutch. Oh man, I wonder how they're feeling after that, right? They would have expected to win that.
Do they even like? They probably don't even know what's going on. Like, they're gonna watch this back and be like, he did what from where as a who? I mean, Queasy and Thomas are just going up against. I mean, you chatted with him, Levin, right? The words that were coming out of Queasy's mouth yesterday, he was like, "How do we beat that?" I mean, he's making it look possible, at least, right? And yeah, and that was one of the things even he emphasized yesterday. He felt like it almost wasn't possible. But clearly is this here. When they start going up and you're like, oh my god, they're just gonna wipe everyone out of the lobby at this point. Thomas drops down to try to take Booger out, and it's so unfortunate there that Peterbot is just lurking about in the bottom of the zone. I mean, in so many other situations, if you rewind that game, you rewind that end game, they win it more often than not, you'd reckon. Yeah. But fine margins. It comes down to the angles.
Hey, just listen to the crowd roar. Literally in that moment, everyone is losing their minds. This is still a close game, okay? Because I do want to call out here, Queasy and Thomas, they got 12 eliminations that game, right? So it's still, if Peterbot and Poyo go down early, Queasy Thomas could still win. I have a question though. At the beginning of the show, Adam was talking with Queasy and Thomas HD, and he said, listen, if it comes to that, going into game 12, could we see and relive that invitational moment? What did Queasy say?
Queasy basically mentioned that if the gap between second and third place was enough, right? Enough to go ahead and justify, like, oh, listen, if we have a bad game 12, we get 0 points, we're still gonna get second, and we're going for it. We're running it back from Invitational. We're landing on Peterbot and Poyo 11. What does that kind of make you feel? You think they're going to do it or what?
I mean, the gap is there. You look at Peterbot and Poyo, and I know they've had some hiccups in the earlier games of the day, but you can't count on them going down early, right? That isn't just how these games have played out for the most part. And so if you really want to win, you want to take home that championship like we know Queasy and Thomas do, there is one play that can guarantee you that championship. and that is landing on them, taking the raft away from them, and winning out the game.
That's way too scary, though. Are we really saying we think they're going to commit to a raft? There's already duos there, and you know for those other duos are thinking we've got to slow them down. This could be an all-out fight at the raft.
I wouldn't be able to do it. I wouldn't be able to make the call. Like, could you imagine being Queasy or Thomas? Who's making that call? How do you make that call?
I mean, it's so tough. I mean, Queasy, I would assume, would be the one to make that call, but it's so much more complicated than that, right? Because even if you do land there and you take them down at the raft, there's other teams there, like you guys have mentioned.
Yeah.
What happens if one of these other teams, imagine a world where they take them down, right? Queasy and Thomas manage to land on them, take them down, and then Frex or someone else in the POI goes, hold on a minute, and starts running out.
They pop over.
You know what I mean? Like, it's risky business. It's different from Invitational. Cammy and Seti, when Queasy and Veno landed on those guys, they were landing at an uncontested POI, right? So there was room for it to happen.
Well, fam, this is our hearts racing. We hope you are enjoying the hype. We're getting closer to starting off game number 12. Vivid, I gotta ask, how are you feeling? One game left to go.
Only one emotion rushing through my body right now, and that is excitement. We're, what, 25 minutes away from watching that trophy up there get hoisted by our global championships. One more game separates us and that.
Levin, how are you feeling, man?
You want to know how I'm feeling? You want to know how I'm feeling?
Yeah.
I'm feeling like it all comes down to this. One more game remaining, legacies on the line. I think back to moments. This game's all about moments. Fortnite's about moments. I think back to the World Cup, the young Argentinian king fighting to push his family's life over, fighting for his destiny. I think back to even earlier yesterday, Swizzy, all the adversity he's faced, fighting up against the best duo in the world, Peter and Poyo in a 1v2. He did it. I think back to the Invitational 2022. Queasy, Veno against Seti and Cammy to win it all. This game is about moments. Fort Worth, are you ready for a moment? Nah. Fort Worth, I said, are you ready? This is that moment. This is their moment. Game number 12 starts now.
Es la última, ¿no, Pato?
And it couldn't be said any better. Match 12 is here.
Oh my god, va a estar intenso, güey. ¿Cómo va la puta puntuación, güey? Aguántame.
This game is all about seizing the right moment.
La verga. Llevan un verguero, pero no mucho, güey. Diablo. Si los matan ahorita al principio, güey, y a Thomas no, va a estar perro, güey.
But you do have Denoth and Tinker still here. Peterbot and Pollo will have to make it out of the drop. They will have to make all the way to endgame here to meet Thomas, HD, and Queasy to run it back one more time. Eliminations are going to be huge here for Pollo and Peterbot as they get to have a chance to open up the point discrepancy.
This is anything but a detriment, though, as far as Pollo and Peterbot are concerned.
No mames, cayó gente ahí para cagar el palo, ¿verdad?
Really helping them tally up an additional 6 points if they're not careful. All the while, Thomas, Queasy, they've just landed, touchdown.
Es que estos lootean, farmean o lootean sin pedo, güey. Sin que nadie los moleste, güey.
To try and stamp their mark.
And I know everyone at home watching right now is sitting on the edge of their
¿Qué hubiese sido padre, güey, que Peter y Pollo les hubiesen caído a Thomas?
lift the trophy at the end, the bragging rights of being the best duo globally across all of the Fortnite regions. Kovacs and Huddy still have so much to fight for as well, given that their podium finish is up on the line here. Let's not forget, third place is still a huge jump up in prizing and bragging. But for Kovacs and Huddy, they've been fighting this team every single game of the weekend so far. They've been relatively successful, but this is the last chance now.
I Neither side willing to budge, but for Sky and Skrull, they seem to be on the receiving end for the most part. Huddy, Kovacs trying to close in. They know just how injured they actually are, but Kovacs a little bit too ambitious. Sky, Skrull, they're gonna find the first knock. It's exclusively up to Huddy to keep that podium finish alive.
It's not over yet though. Huddy is way too healthy, and they recognize that this can go either way. Given how consistent he's been, beautiful tag right there onto one duo. Can he get the second? Surely he can, but the damage has been done, and he's forced onto the back foot, starting to run out of mats now. Armor wall comes out. Things are looking really dicey now for Huddy.
There's only so many ways that Huddy could actually choose to escape from this current position, however, and Skrull recognizes that fact. Skrull's gonna find that final elimination. Huddy and Kovacs have had a
El lugarcito es un gran spot. Sí, güey. Pero pues dos no caben ahí, güey. O sea, dos dúos, pues. Buena, Peter. Bueno, Peter. ¿Ganaron la zona, güey? Ah, no, queda ese Falcon y...
established there for Pollo and Peterbot. We've got a moment to take a quick listen in.
Yo creo que estos pierden tiempo sin hacer kills, va, güey.
Wait for the cameras, I'm gonna more craft, yeah? I just know the streams are going like, is Queasy gonna do it? Is he gonna do it? Alright, bro. Let's get it. Fist bump, bro. Fist bump, man. Give me a fist bump, bro. Don't leave me hanging.
He thought about it.
Al saber qué dijo.
But no, you know, I do respect the fact Queasy and Thomas HD and their ability to stick to their guns, not be pressured into a decision that can throw their entire opportunity away. They've known that Peterbot and Pollo have not played perfectly today. However, when Peter has been online, when Pollo has been online,
pero ya no buscaban la medalla, ¿verdad? La medalla los había ayudado mucho.
the clutches that he's put down today have proven just that.
Even when Pollo hasn't been there, the level of support that he's been able to provide for Peterbot and just fully trusting in his teammates.
Ah, sí tienen la medalla, güey.
Clutch up every single time without fail. That is a huge amount of pressure rested upon Peterbot's shoulders, and yet he plays as if there's nothing weighing him down in the slightest.
What's really interesting about Peterbot and Pollo as well, the way they're playing right now, they're not taking any chances. Anything that moves is getting shot. You saw there, even clicks off, and they're hitting everyone back. They're gonna want 1,000 feet between them. And of course, the trophy for now, but Ping and Wox here on the other side have been flying their way up the standings, truly earning their mark, making their mark here on the Globals stage. This is the grand finals, match 12 action happening right now. Yuma is gonna get his tournament cut short now. Wox has to clutch it up, but no.
Pues nunca lo enfocan, ¿verdad, güey? O es que siempre está muerto.
Gotta be careful now.
Damage has definitely already been done though by Wox and Ping. Even if Rise manages to overcome this 1 versus 2 scenario, without his duo, he's gonna have to make a play for the reboot ban, and that's gonna cost him so much time. Wox, Ping, they've got other things in mind, and that's continuing their streak here in the final hour. 2 eliminations already, a third party closing in.
Pues sí, a lo mejor desde que inicia lo matan, güey. Me imagino que pelea zona, bueno, pelea spot y vale madre.
Honestly, from Wox, that was an incredible angle to counter the ramp that was thrown in the box right there. Quick thinking, swift action. It's gonna allow them to win that fight right there. Tinka has to be careful. They may have won an OCE championship, but here on the global stage, everyone is...
Ahí está King, mira.
Things slow down for a moment. Other teams lurking nearby, listening, watching. Brazil, OCE.
¿Cómo juegan estos vergas haciendo esas madres?
Teacher and Trulix, though, they're just sticking to what's tried and true. Surge base up, scour the entire area, and apply pressure onto the teams down in Doomsday. Keep in mind that's likely going to be Epic Whale, Muzz, Ritual one more time, having to deal with Trulex and Chicho's affairs, but Chicho, Trulex, definitely trying to be wary.
Pues ese es su karma, güey. Si hace trampa y cosas así para jugar. ¿Cómo se atreve a ir a un mundial, güey? Si sabiendo que ahí no puede hacer trampa, pues. O de plano no está a nivel de estar en público, pues. Porque a algunos el nervio les gana, pues entran en pánico. No les gusta estar con gente y cosas así, güey. Obviamente cuando te ponen ahí, güey, junto con más jugadores que vas a conocer por primera vez, porque ya los ubicas y todos, a la hora de jugar me imagino que eso le afecta mucho. Debe ser a él y a todos los que están hasta abajo, güey. Porque se supone que está lo mejor de lo mejor. Están los mejores jugadores del mundo. Bueno, no sé si el continente asiático participa, güey.
We didn't even see coming out of nowhere. Back on over to Vico and Flixie. The Railways pushed out very early this time around with this far western pole.
De todo el mundo está. De algo le pasa, pues. Porque sabemos que es bueno, güey. Pero puede ser que entre en pánico. Imagínate cuando en otros años veas así TM, Regime y Canacín on top ahí, güey. Y te diga, Pato, acabo de matar a Peter. Pero en la vida real, para que no vaya.
Definitely are like it's time to get out of here. Couple eliminations, but time to just recoup, bounce back, get the materials.
Ay, güey, pero en la grada no más. De mínimo, estaría padre ya conocer un poco de Rata. ¿A dónde están ahí, güey?
Other teams are still here at the Doomstot though. Big rotates coming in, it seems like, from Reet and Ritual. Mapoli and Zoyota as well. Just lurking, trying to find an opportunity here to pounce in.
That was a big set of eliminations, though, that Muzz and Epic Whale.
Ah, bueno, aquí en corto.
Aviv and Buga can be crushing when you consider that they had started to surmount the comeback potential, trying to maintain the top 10. Aviv on the revive. Respect the commitment, but Muzz and Epic Whale just a little bit too quick on the collapse.
Traen gente esos dos, va, güey. O son puros que andan en contra de Peter porque lo apoyan a él, güey.
Thomas HD and Queasy coming to view one more time. They're heading straight for this weapons bunker south of the Nitrodrome, and there's already company nearby. So instead they might opt to pivot.
En Canacín. Ni Jesucristo pasó por ahí.
It's a fast rotate.
They're on the move right now. Swizzy and Yapko as well.
Bueno, ni Dios es con todo le digo, man.
Trapped in between Murstache and Malibuca in the distance. A bunker here, of course, being the big upgrade to their loadout. The fact that they get this bunker completely uncontested.
Hasta los cables cerró.
Huge difference as well. Yapko with a single elim right now, starting to cap out on material. This is where focus will start to shift into where do they want to base down for the mid game. Jumping in with Pollo and Peterbot. You can see who's on the way here without giving it away. There is a very clear, determined play in motion right now.
Miche, viste que hay unos que lo buchean. A ese puro que ya sus jugadores quedaron eliminados y les queda nada más apoyar a Thomas para tirarle mierda a Peter. Sí, puro ardido. ¿Sabes qué me gustaría que gane, güey? Para que cierre bocas, güey. De que dicen que tiene cheaters y cosas así, güey. Toma, verga. Ojalá y maten a Thomas ahorita. Para callar toda esa bola de ardidos. No tengo nada contra el chavito, pero pues. Ya están toxiqueando mucho.
Loadout looking pretty scrappy as well, given that they don't have big upgraded weaponry, right? They could use a bunker, they could use an elite chest or something. They definitely need something.
They've at least got mats to work with, though, and that could be the ultimate difference maker. Rift Island spawning off in the distance. Cachorro, Keiki, Pollo, and Peterbot. That'll be first to the top. Capture point in sight. And with the control of Rift Island nearly underway, Pollo, Peterbot from this position sitting just inside of the zone as well. Their next intent likely going to be to just fully restrict the flow of this lobby.
And it's almost easy for them to know where the Rift Island is going to spawn. They have the forecast tower. They know where the next zone's going. Obviously, the island's going to be in it, if not extremely close like it is right now. So it makes sense. Pollo and Peterbot are isolated here, and they will be for quite some time. This is, again, probably the weirdest Rift Island we've seen off.
Pero van a estarle ya en el aire eso.
And even worse still, it's just a little bit above a weapons bunker as well. With that in mind, Peterbot and Pollo know teams are going to want to get drawn towards that weapons bunker, but trouble afoot here for Vico and Flixie, incredibly low. Vico dropping immediately the ultimate low ground. It's a risky play whenever you opt, try and glide in, but Casper, Prism on the other side of these walls, and they are looking for an opportunity to take this team out.
Taking walks in a fight right now, continuing to key the lobby down. They want to jump up into those positions, and now they fight their way into fifth here as they're ramping it way online right now. Vico and Flixie next door to Casper and Prism. Paper and Victor V looking inwards, trying to see what's happening here. You have Kanata and the reigning champ, Cooper, there as well. Very, very contested spot here. Meanwhile, Bolts and Bryce, who are our fifth place team coming in, but now slipping down just nearby.
But Bryce and Bolts, they're still slinking around restored rails, and they can hear all of the action, all of the shots being fired just west of them, sometimes a little bit south. Bolts, Bryce, scavenging everything that remains here inside of restored reels. But if anything, their primary focus is exclusively on just maintaining a strong placement to close today out.
Great tags from Chicho. Every time we've jumped in, he is just on it with Trulex here. They have played very, very well. It's that third place spot is what is open for them right now. To pop this Flowberry Fizz and get their rotate going now, of course.
Espera. Es que el problema es que si los matan y queda vivo Thomas, güey. Si queda vivo y llega hasta las finales, puede que sí lo rebase, güey.
Well, don't count it out just yet, because we're seeing that river of sticks get further and further into the heart of these zones. Kligs Veto caught up currently with Malabuka and Murstache. From one side of the map to the next, though, Murstache, Malabuka know that they're going to need some elimination points as well. They lost a lot of their footing they had after the conclusion of day one. Day two, just too many threats, too many times of falling victim to the power of Oceana, Alex, and Worthy. And now Thomas HD, Queasy, they've managed to work their way from that sticky situation of dealing with Pars and Baka at the ship-it station, but still more trouble afoot here because they are fully aware of the fact that this current surge base is not empty.
It looks like they're looking to gear back up to take the fight again because they have to here. But Queasy scarily leaving himself available and open, trying to tempt others to jump in. Meanwhile, Baka and Pars are gonna bring it down.
A la verga, los tiraron, valió verga.
This could be everything here.
A la verga, no.
Thomas takes a lot of damage. Queasy is hurt as well. The lobby sees what's happening here, and a desperate spray of builds starts to come out to try to keep them alive. No armored walls. This is the worst we've seen their loot.
They went for a risky maneuver really early on for what looked like an attempt to intercept Peterbot and Pollo's pathing, but now instead they find themselves caught in the crosshairs, 2 below the damage threshold. Seemingly the first time it feels like this weekend that we've seen this duo truly struggle with their surge management, but just like that, Thomas, HD, Queasy, they find a moment of relief, a chance to breathe here, regenerate their shields as much as possible. But the
Parece, ¿verdad? Se ve raro.
dire here for Vico, as he's a solo, no Flixie.
Lot of our top 3 right now in desperate situations for Vico here. What can you do? He's only 47 damage above the threshold. The damage needed starting to rack up here. He knows it, we know it. And now he moves. Goes back to where his teammate was fallen. Trying to get a little heal off here. And he is missing every opportunity of the rotates. Thomas, HD, Queasy have to go for a fight here. But no! They get caught!
Ya valió verga, güey.
And just like that, the tournament run.
Pobrecito, güey. Tenían chance, güey. Sí, GG para ellos a la verga.
Long enough to be your global champions.
Pollo and Peterbot, they're not even taking a moment to
Ya ganaron, güey. Ya que lo paren, ya la verga. Los campeones, los nuevos campeones.
Trying to find this last victory royale. Peterbot called it yesterday in interviews on social.
Sí, ya, pobrecito los otros dos, güey.
Peterbot's dancing in the box. He knows what just happened. He knows they have done enough.
They died. What? Yeah. Hold on. Come on.
Celebraron. Son unos culeros.
He knows. They know. Pollo can't even hide the smile.
Celebraron que habían matado a la Tomo y al otro verga, güey. Sí, ya va a ver cómo queda, güey. Ya no le cambien, ahí déjenle.
And they are still showing up in the last game, and they'll very likely win this at this point.
Peterbot is an undisputed best player in the world currently.
Se arriesgaron a lo pendejo, güey.
They're still making sure to deal.
Ni idea, güey, pero muy abajo, como 200 abajo, güey. O sea, en esta partida no lo sacan, pues. Ahorita no tarde y ponen la tabla. Va a decir que es favoritismo por andar poniendo mucho a Peter, güey. Ya es. Ahí está el tercero, tenía 574, güey. Y eso que ya los eliminaron. Falcon Chico está en 513.
There's still a lot to fight for here as second and third are now out of the game. If Bolts and Bryce pull a big game here, they could very well jump their way up into some significant new prizing and maybe be called the third, maybe the second best team in the world.
They're not the only ones seeking it out either. You've got to keep in mind Trulex and Chicho, Wax and Ping. Also, Spinks and Dukes. It had a little bit of a slippage, but everyone is still within striking range, depending on who actually closes out.
Ya, con eso ya subieron.
Bolts with the elimination from afar. It's going to be Baka that falls. Pars now a victim of the surge damage takes as well as the focus of the lobby, and he's taken out.
Bolt's on the move right now, looking to secure that loot. Nicely done for him, but they are barely holding on right now. The surge should turn offline here shortly. However, they still want to find damage just to give them that peace of mind.
¿Quién está vivo? La verdad no, ni puta idea. O sea, bueno, ya sé que me estás diciendo, pero no lo he visto para nada. A ver, a ver. ¿Quién es el dúo de King?
problem is how chaotic these final few moments are about to become. Everyone's got access to this river of sticks.
Phaser, ok, King, Phaser, vamos a buscarlos ahí. Verga, Peter y Pollo están algo separados, güey. No los veo, güey. ¡Ah, la verga! No lo puedo ver. Si estos vergas siguen haciendo kills, van a escalar igual bastante, güey.
He's just so good with it. The highlights continuing to rack up. Now Ticho and Trula sitting underneath the box. The Sphinx and Dukes who have the high ground here, but a rotate has to come out. It's a long stretch from here to the new zone. Sphinx is on the move right now. 37 players in the game, 19 duos remaining. Pewterbot and Pollo still playing the low ground right now. They have eyes on Batman, Booger, and Rapid. They have eyes on Kanata and Cooper. Who will be the next to fall victim to your champions at this point?
Pewterbot and Pollo are floating through this lobby. Quite literally, secondary height gonna fall under their control temporarily. They're still choosing to tarp forward, maintaining this front side position. They haven't challenged height just yet, but that scan bound to go out soon enough. They know Shadow Virgo
Porque lo taparon, lo quitaron justo ahorita que iba a moverse.
Trying to collapse into the same layers, but they realize it's Pollo, it's Pewterbot underneath us. We've got to escape.
They can't stick around him for too much longer, or it'll be disastrous. And what a storybook finish for Pewterbot and Pollo 2. They used to be the kings of Grim Gate, let's not forget it. They play very well with the underworld dashes at their disposal. Bolt and Bryce up against Phaser and King now. They are very, very weak. However, the Surge is online, and they're taking a lot of damage here.
A la madre, van muy abajo de Shul. Ya valieron verga, güey. Trácate.
Bound to have smiles from cheek to cheek, but the job's not finished. They've got to keep powering through. Same could be said here for Pollo and Pewterbot. They've already secured the global championship, but they don't even care. They still want more.
Still makes you wonder how much harder everyone will need to work. They want to win this one and take it from Pewterbot and Pollo, because look at what they're doing. They want to close out in strong fashion, and Brazilian top of Ed and Persa are standing in their way, and Pollo wants nothing to do with it.
Pollo and Pewterbot, they know only one player is between themselves and hype. Instead, they will drop momentarily. They already got an elimination. Pewterbot's still looking for more, though. Armored Wall's gonna cut him off for the time being, but Pewterbot, Pollo, they find King.
Están de otro mundo estos vergas, güey. Mientras Pollo no se separe de Peterwood, güey, ahí va a seguir vivo, güey. Porque si lo dejan solo va a estar perro, güey. Ya quedan un verguero todavía, güey. Esa pistola está rotísima en dorada, güey. Yo la he usado últimamente.
Batman, Booga, and Rapid, they can tell up ahead. Teams pressuring onto their ceilings, but again, Teeny, Jap, has already fallen, and Teeny just trying to do what he can to navigate the chaos. He sees Rapid go down. He wants to make his way to the body.
Nah, pobrecito, no tiene nada de material.
Immediately taken out by Pollo, nonetheless. Pewterbot finds Teeny all the way.
Verga, están mencionando mucho a Pollo y Peter, güey. A lo mejor hicieron un verguero de kills ahorita, güey. Muerto Phaser.
Meanwhile, Ticho lurking on the low ground takes out the immediate competition, securing their third place. Pewterbot, though, wants to win here. He's looking to take it
No.
Claps back with a huge shot.
Cúrate, bestia.
Slow down now. Pollo comes up to support his teammate. The scan comes out. They know where everyone's at. The med kit is there as well. Pollo, the perfect partner in crime for what is unfolding here right now. And just a couple of duels left. They don't have a lot of HP. Pollo looking to show them what he is made of.
Pollo and Pewterbot have had so much time now to recuperate what they lost as far as health is concerned. Pewterbot's already got one knock on to Trulex. It's just Chicho standing between them at this point. And Pewterbot finds his third victory royale on the day. But most importantly of all,
¿Qué se sentirá, güey? A la verga. Si yo me emociono, imagínate yo que ganaron, güey.
In the only way they know how, and that is what a victory royale. Congratulations.
Sí, güey, la neta sí, güey. Lo da, güey, no le quites mérito a Pollo, güey, no mames, güey. Por algo es su dúo, güey, él lo escogió, güey.
Would you please give it everything you've got for the FNCS Global Champions 2024? Beautiful Pollo! Congratulations, come this way, guys. Come and stand in front of me. Bring the trophy with you.
Güey, acaban de ganar millones, güey, están como si nada estos vergas, güey. A mí ya me hubiese dado un coma diabético, te lo juro.
You've done it. The global champions for Worth! Peterbot, I'm going to come to you first. How does it feel to officially confirm global champion?
It means the world to me. I mean, we knew we were going to win coming into it, and we're the best duo in the world.
Pollo, the trophy is yours. It has been an incredible year. Tell us exactly what's going through your mind right now as well.
I mean, this is amazing. Like, we got second the first major, and then win. It's 3P.
We heard you earlier on the comms say, greatest in the world.
Is
that what it feels like right now? You've proved it on this main stage.
Yeah, we are the greatest in the world. I will say that, for sure.
It's been an incredible 2024 for you guys. Back-to-back majors, the Global Championship as well. It feels unstoppable. How has your experience been this weekend? Everything play out as you planned? I mean, you came into this with such confidence, Pollo.
Yeah, I think we were going to win. Like, the first few games at the start of this day didn't go as like planned, but it ended up working in the end.
I'm going to ask as well here, you were really pushed to the limits there. You came in strong today. Bit more difficult, but you managed to ride through what the experience of
Bueno, Pato, nos vemos.
titles as well. That's really what feels
Nos vemos. Tengo cosas que hacer. Es hora de activarnos.
I'm going to ask one last time as well.